And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have, oh, boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve. And when it comes to how those raise...
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, man. You tell them. I'm not sure how much I trust you, but you're the only one who is on the right freaking path. I don't even care if you're like being devious because everybody else not even trying. Not even fucking Thomas Massey. The hell, Tom? What the hell?
I'm so glad you're fucking hyped up tonight.
I'm gonna make up for your low energy, Cam.
Yes.
I'm on fire. I went on my long run this morning, and all I could think about was violence. I wanted to choose violence because I'm so sick of it.
Ugh.
In Minecraft, YouTube, fuck off.
Fuck YouTube. I really thought about just not doing YouTube anymore.
I know.
Because
oh wait, you gained 2 subscribers since a week ago.
Right. Oh look, you got another view. Like it's ridiculous, yes, man. Like hey guys and everyone else. It's Clout Goblins. I'm tired.
He's tired because he's been playing with our new printer, our new machine, our high-tech, expensive machine. It's finally in the shop.
It's true.
Get ready, people. The merch is coming.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to be living there for the next 2 weeks. Like every hour they're open, I will be there doing stuff.
Hell yeah.
And damn it, where? Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Like the guys who work there, they kept wanting to check it out, but they were having to do other stuff too. So
yeah, they got a business around. So
yeah. Yeah, the machines in.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Sometimes opening the wrong doors does trigger a fire alarm, though, in some places where they're wired that way.
Yeah, opening a door. It's never worked the other way around.
That's right. Like, Kitty.
I'm pretty sure if you pull a fire alarm in some places, it locks doors. Look at that. Jeez, that is not a happy pussy.
That's right.
At all.
That's right.
Welcome to Clout Goblins. Crash is probably going to take over the show for most of the broadcast. Yeah. One thing you shouldn't do is lift like 100-pound machinery with a ruptured disc. It's not a good idea.
Man, I just realized that like 2 guys with bad backs handled that machine today because my dad's got a bad back too.
Randy helped too, and he also has a bad back.
My goodness, everybody's got bad backs.
The main difference though is they're both almost double my age. Well, not double. Not quite. Double.
My dad's 63.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they both got at least 20 years on me. And it shouldn't be that way, but I can't, like I said, man, I can't be this handsome without something being wrong, right?
That's right. It's always a trade-off. Always a trade-off.
I'm always going to tell myself. I sound like an annoying guy going through puberty, a kid going through puberty, and got the body of a 90-year-old. Yeah, soon. Got to try to get a piece that didn't come. The only thing is, I don't know if that stand comes standard or not.
Yeah, I think we may have just assumed that it comes with the stand, and because of the videos. But yeah, just ask Mike Garner, and if it doesn't come standard, ask him how much it is. If it's not much, I don't mind fronting for that. Not a big deal. I wouldn't expect it to be much. It's just a stand. But if he's gonna say it's something like $2,000, I'm gonna be like, no, we'll build one. My dad's really handy. We'll build one, and I'll bring it up when I get up there.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah,
I'm gonna marry Z. Like, that. Damn, I haven't gotten a compliment like that since my mom told me I was a handsome little boy. So I appreciate it.
Oh, so sweet.
It's usually
very sweet.
Yeah, well, girls are not nice. Like, they'll complain no matter how sweet you're being. Like, I would jerk off outside their windows all the time, and they'd like call the cops on me and stuff. It's like, I'm admiring your beauty.
Right? How could they not just have respect for that? Like, what's up with that?
I know. And like, I don't know. It got interesting sometimes. Sometimes it was kind of like a tragic comedy when they first saw, because they'd see me with my pants down and they go, "Oh," and then they start laughing.
Is that what Louis C.K. went through?
The fappening. That was the real fappening.
Oh my
god. Damn it. God, my brain is like switched off.
That's all right. Well, we're starting on. I mean, you started off on fire with Matt Steel Balls Gaetz. Like he's the only one left on my list that I like anymore. So all the others that were on my list, they all voted to keep McCarthy.
Bober, I'm like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massey, Dan Bishop,
Jim Jordan, who they're trying to push for speaker now.
Chip Roy. Fuck them all.
The other 7 of the 8. I don't even know who the hell they are. Matt Gaetz is the only one I know. I'd have to look up who these other 7 are.
Yeah.
Like, they're just randos. And so, yeah, I don't even know what to think of them.
Well, I mean...
Nick RC.
I don't...
I love you, Z.
That's true, yeah. I don't understand, especially Massey, man. How can he stand there and defend that fucking clown after he did a backroom deal to keep funding going to Ukraine?
I know. Like, it's literally... McCarthy is no different than putting any Democrat in. It is literally the exact same. So you have nothing to lose in voting him out. 0. And in fact, the fact that I think, Kim, you're telling me earlier today that the interim speaker sent people home, and I'm like, well, no rush. I'm happy to send them home. Let's send them home for 45 days. In fact, I'd be happy to send them home until the next continuing resolution vote comes up, and let them argue then.
I mean, I get where Matt's coming from, because people are tired of them not doing a fucking thing. But we do need them to do more than just vote on the next shill. So,
well, if we actually shut down, I think people would. If we shut down long enough, people would start to get used to it and realize just how little we need our government.
Yeah. Like the one thing that should have been taken care of if there was a shutdown, and it's just like Gaetz said, was making sure that soldiers get their pay, veterans, people.
Well, that's always the case, though. There's the essential. There's always been a list of mission critical workers, and those guys still go to work, and they usually are the priority to get paid. Because when you're voting on a continuing resolution, it doesn't mean that the coffers are empty. It just means you don't have enough to pay everything on the very next day. So you have to start making cuts. Or something start getting delayed on getting paid, if not cut. So the mission critical stuff on the military, it stays up. They're still getting paychecks, as far as I know. Like, and if somebody wants to fact check me and tell me that that's not the case, my understanding has always been that that Mission Critical still gets paid. But I haven't been Mission Critical since 2008. No, hold on. Actually, 2011 or 12. When I used to work for the Corps of Engineers. I was part of a team that was ready to deploy, though I never deployed with them. But we got all kinds of cool training, including how to drive cars and ram barricades. How to drift. Yeah, it was fun. I got training on that, but I never got to put it into practice.
Sounds like mission critical stuff right there.
Yeah, so like we were a mission critical team. But I never faced a shutdown while I was with them. So I'm to be honest, I am under the assumption that that team would have been still getting paid until the coffers were empty, at least in that kind of scenario where a continuing resolution wasn't passed and they don't have a budget.
And yes, Brian, I agree. I mean, it happened just like I figured it would. Like, I knew the Democrats were going to vote in unison. I really didn't think that a bunch of no-names would be the people voting with Gaetz.
Right. Expected Boebert, Marjorie.
Yep.
Well, Marjorie was kind of on the fence because we know she made deals at the beginning to get her committee assignments back. I only have forgive you for that, Marjorie, because it's unprincipled, and I get like you need to be on committees to actually do anything. I don't know. Let's see, Boebert and again Massey. I mean, those are the main ones that have been on my. When I say that I can count them on one hand, those are the ones, you know. And now it's Matt. You're it. You're left. Don't disappoint me, Matt. I mean, besides on the Senate, Rand Paul. Is there anybody else in the Senate that's worthwhile?
I mean, Holly's okay. He's not the greatest.
I don't like Holly that much. He's shady. Mm-hmm. I've heard things about him, and maybe I'm wrong because, like I said, well, not like I said, but like I've thought when it comes to Holly, there's a lot of propaganda. So like we're gonna talk about like the whole Israel thing. I've always hated talking on Israel-Palestine issues because I know there's so much propaganda on both sides of that issue that it's so hard to tell what's truth from fiction in regards to that.
Yeah.
So I'm always very hesitant to speak on that because it's like it would take a lot of time to confirm. I mean, I'm going to assume it's somewhere in the middle that the Israeli government and Hamas are both guilty of some heinous things. And honestly, I'm just pro the innocent people who are getting hurt because of this conflict. And I don't trust Hamas leaders. I don't trust the Israeli government, just like I don't trust our government.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about the whole Iran, well, we'll get into it later.
Yeah. Let's stick on Matt Steelballs Gaetz. Man, I kind of wish I could have gotten to the Miami event, Timcast Miami event. I've been seeing like posts about it, and I'm like, man, that would have been a good one to go to, but it costs money, and I had to buy machines for our business. So yeah,
that would have been nice to go to, but
yeah, maybe next if they do another one. I mean, it'd be great if they did it in Orlando so I could actually make it in half a day's drive as opposed to because Miami's far from me. It's like 12 hours, maybe 11.
Yeah, because I was talking to you about going to that, but I mean, it's just too much going on, and I really don't need to spend that money right now anyway.
Yeah.
And staying in Miami is stupid expensive.
Also, yes. Miami's like the San Francisco of the East Coast. It's what makes Florida not Florida, really, because it's ran by Democrats. I mean, I haven't been there, so I guess I shouldn't judge it too harshly, because it's not like, we don't have people shitting in the streets, as far as I know.
And there are a lot of Cubans there, so
yeah.
From what I understand, Cubans they're pretty based because they came from a world of shit. Where everybody thinks, look though, it looks so cool, and look at the cars. They have got like all these throwback cars, so nice. Like that's not why they have those cars at all. It's because they can't afford anything past 1970.
I want an old car. I want a car that doesn't have a computer on it.
Yeah, I've always wanted
when I get my own place, that's like the next thing on my agenda is to get like an old sports car. I'd love to get like a 60s Stingray, put it back together. That'd be fun. Yeah.
I'd like to get an old late 60s, early 70s Mustang or Camaro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the body styles back then were kind of similar. Like, I think the Dodges and the Chevys had a lot of similarities. Like the front ends anyway. The back ends were pretty different, but most of those muscle cars back then had a somewhat similar style as far as the shape of the body. But,
or could just hot rod it up, just get the frame and go custom.
One of those old, was it 30s or 40s cars with the chop top? What was that? I think there was one in the Gone in 60 Seconds, the newer one with Nick Cage. That old hot rod in that movie was pretty nice. I've always thought those looked pretty cool. God, I am killing it today. Like, I am making this stream suck more wiener than is necessary.
Dude, you're so tired.
I am. But yeah,
I
like
ran 5 miles today, dude. What's wrong with you?
dude. Well, well, apparently I have pancreatitis again too.
Oh.
So, yeah, the doc called me yesterday or day before yesterday, like, yeah, these levels are high and these are really high, and I was like, I think that's my ALT, my alkaline phosphatase, or ALP. It's normally elevated a little bit, but whenever I got the pancreatitis going, it gets, because normally it's around 160, 170, which is like 30 or 40 points higher than normal. But mine was up to 260 something. So I was like, yeah, that means I've got pancreatitis again. Like triglycerides were high. That was high. The only thing they didn't check was the lipase, and I guarantee my lipase was normal, which is not normal for me because ever since I've had the surgery, my lipase has been in the single digits. So when it's normal, I know
it's actually
wrong.
Elevated, huh? Yeah.
Which is why I hate the doctors around here. It's like they don't pay attention. Like, doctors just don't give a shit anymore.
Nah.
If it's not by the book and easier for them to figure out right then with what they're looking at, they don't know what to do. It's like a joke. Yeah, man. Oh, Matty boy, he's doing some good things, and I think you wanted to tie in a certain Democrat.
Yeah, I was surprised to find a Democrat giving a message that I agree with. Hold on.
I still don't trust it because I think Democrats are just being pragmatic little pricks because they know things are changing.
For the most part, I'd say yes.
I even with this, I still think it's just him being pragmatic because he knows he's not going to get voted in if he keeps doing this shit.
But I can accept it if it actually got through, you know?
Mm.
I mean, despite having not far from a majority, the way that Matt Gaetz is playing the game, it's brilliant, honestly. And if he can find a way to get even 2 of these rules in, it'd be pretty awesome.
The American people are frustrated and exhausted with the corruption and role of big money in the halls of Congress. That is
Oh, come on, internet. I'm overloading it. Hold on a sec. I'll stop streaming at least.
why I'm introducing a 5-point plan. First, ban all PAC and lobbyist money to congressional campaigns. I don't take a dime of it. Second, ban completely stock trading and members of Congress from ever becoming lobbyists. Activists like Unusual Whales, Quiver Quantitative, and the leaders at Crew have been mobilizing for this. Third, term limits for members of Congress. Fourth, term limits for Supreme Court justices. And fifth, an ethics code for Supreme Court justices. This is common sense. The people demand it. It's time we give them back their government and we reform in Washington. We should have bipartisan support for this 5-point plan. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
I mean, the last 2, I'm just like, I don't even care as much because the Supreme Court justices haven't done too bad lately, despite being under Biden's regime.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Supreme Court's kind of like it's like the midgets wrestling the normal sized WWE wrestlers. Like they're part of the show, but they don't actually get to do shit, and they never win.
Now, Roe v. Wade overturned was a win. You know, we got to give them at least that. And there have been wins, and it's not necessarily Supreme Court so much as just like the judicial system, which it keeps surprising me. Yeah, for anybody who's interested in it, follow Firearms Policy Coalition, FPC. They are constantly posting about their victories in the judicial system regarding the Second Amendment, because they don't hold back. The instant some stupid governor tries to take away or infringe on your right to own whatever arms, they immediately go after it, and they have won a lot. The only one I would put above them in terms of record would be James O'Keefe.
Yeah, he's causing quite a stir too.
Yeah.
Project Veritas spent $8 million in a matter of months, and they've either cashed it out or just spit it all trying to go after him, which is laughable.
Yeah, now they're broke. They've shut down. So this is their last hurrah.
Oh yeah.
And I don't care. Nobody knows who's even part of that company anymore. You know?
No.
Nobody knows the names of those people who are actually filing this suit. Nobody cares about you, Veritas. You're done. Go home.
Yeah, like that company was James O'Keefe.
Yeah, 100%.
Considering he started it, that's not unusual.
Didn't just like when we say started it, it was from the ground up. He was actually, until it became too recognizable, you know, he was actually doing the undercover jobs.
Yeah.
Just like Andy No. But eventually they start to recognize you, and you gotta hire people to do that job instead. But even then, he would still go out on the ground, and like after his underground reporters would catch people saying stuff, he would go confront them. And you would see these people shake, even run. That was the best part.
Or lock them
was
inside and try to beat them to death. Dude, that guy lost his shit. He did not want that getting out, which was
Mm-mm.
it was already too late. So
Yeah, it's too late by that point. If James O'Keefe is walking up to you, it's way too late. Like you might as well just confess, but people don't like confession. People hate confession. That's actually, I mean, it's a tenet of Christianity. Confess your sins to one another so that you can be forgiven. But we don't like to admit we've been wrong, you know.
I mean, that's.
But it's good for your soul. It is good for your soul, no matter how evil it is. It is good for your soul to just confess you've been wrong and beg for forgiveness.
Oh, that's why our government doesn't work for this shit.
Yeah.
It's because those fucking douchebags.
I don't trust a single politician.
Well, they can't.
Well,
admit
at the
they're
state or
wrong.
federal level, at least, that calls themselves a Christian. Personally, in my county, we have at least a couple of commissioners who are Christian. One of them's a pastor, and I haven't gotten any dirt on him yet. So, but I haven't. I need to get more involved with the local stuff so I can understand what they've been up to.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish I could do more, but I gotta get this stuff taken care of.
Yeah, it takes time and effort, though. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, like with my local Libertarian Party, it's just me and 3 others, really.
Yeah, and I mean that's where a lot of people lost their way with their civic duty too, because you used to be able to. Well, I mean, 150 years ago, it was definitely more about your immediate community anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you had a smaller area to worry about. Everyone got the same news, and it wasn't a bunch of bullshit, and that was being spun by 17 different sources. So it was like, I think back then it was a lot easier to keep track of what was going on because you didn't have to worry about set the next county or 2 counties over or the next state unless something fucking crazy was happening.
Yeah, that and your local news outlets weren't all owned by national, by ABC, MSNBC, Fox, but they've been buying up those small news stations for decades now, and now it's you can't succeed in that space without, if you try to start as a small business in that space, eventually either you have to sell to be owned by them, or they're just going to find a way to force you out of the market because they have too many connections.
Well, either that or you just have to stay completely independent and hope that you get the viewership to keep you going.
Well, yeah, you'll have to rely on, so like when I say connections, it's not just government connections, it's also the corporate connections. So when it comes to advertisers, they'll go after that, and that tends to be the biggest revenue for media space. So, I mean, people are experimenting with trying to go more subscriber route and relying on your audience, but that doesn't always pan out. You're kind of on a coin flip there, on whether you're going to survive just based on the people who actually follow you or not.
Oh, especially if you're just starting out too. Like
Yeah.
Even to get to the levels like Tim Pool and stuff like that, it takes years. Like starting out, it like you've got to do something else to keep yourself afloat while you're focusing on what you're doing. Otherwise, you're
like
gonna have a bad
Tim
day.
Pool was lucky because he had his golden parachute, which gave him a lot of capital that allowed him to focus on that. Most people don't have that. So there's kind of a problem. There's a high barrier to entry, and that's not just news media industry. It's a lot of industries. That's part of the problem. That's what government does. They create, they force these barriers to entry, either through their licensing, their taxation, or just by allowing the competition, the big corps that own everything to run over you without consequence.
Yeah. Well, even then, like Tim still started out like doing his on the ground stuff. He just did something new that no one else did whenever he live streamed from the drone, and that got a lot of attention from it because of the coverage he was getting, and that just opened a door for him. I think I'm willing to bet that if he could go back and decide on whether taking that contract with the CBS Univision or not, he wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have just went back to independent and just started building earlier. Because while he was under contract, he couldn't do shit.
It's true. Yeah, he lost time so it was a trade-off.
Yeah, it was like 2 years of his life that he couldn't really do anything, say what he wanted to say, couldn't work on the projects he wanted to work on. It was golden handcuffs, which it's good if you can survive the length of time, because you definitely have but again, I think I think worst case scenario is it would have been a wash, because when he came back out and started doing his thing, like it didn't take him long to grow at all. But he probably gained some insight and a lot of networking that he wouldn't have gained otherwise as well. So there probably were some more bonuses to being in that space and the people involved in it than there were negatives. Like, if you're looking at it from an integrity standpoint, nah.
Right.
Definitely way worse off, but just access to the people, the programs, and just this sheer amount of networking you can get done doing stuff like that, it was definitely a bonus for him. No, I think he met Luke before that. He met Luke at Occupy.
That's right. Yeah, at Occupy Wall Street. Yeah.
Yeah. So it didn't quite affect that, but I don't know. I think he might have met James O'Keefe, like been in touch with him during that too. So I don't know. Maybe who knows? Who knows how much it actually helped or hurt? Except for him, like he did more details about it.
I mean, the important thing is he's capitalizing on what he has, you know.
Yeah.
And he's built a huge platform, and he, among others, have become competitive with the news media space,
which they're trying to take over.
Yeah.
Which is why YouTube is turning to shit.
Yep.
And he definitely saw that writing on the wall. I think everybody who was paying attention did, and that's why he pushed so hard to get his own subscription base up. That's one thing we need to, we're going to do too, is get on Parallel Economy.
Yes.
And we need to talk to the people at Public Square too.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I bookmarked that recently thinking we need to be on this.
Yeah, we definitely do. We need to get on there. Definitely need to get on there.
Yeah, these things take time. We got to be patient.
Yep. I mean, it's a time thing.
Stay the course. Yeah.
Like, getting on Parallel Economy won't be difficult because they were wanting to set something up before. I just slowed down on it because of all the changes that happened with the other company. Which I'm so glad we don't have to worry about anymore. That is the huge blessing right there. Being your own boss, not depending on a third party.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the problem. I mean, that's one of the risks in capitalism that's not fettered by true competition. Is that there will be companies out there that will run the market by offering the smaller, newer people in a space a way to get in. Like, but you don't realize that what they're really doing is gatekeeping. You know,
Yeah.
There's a high capital cost to get into this space, to do it all yourself. Eric July. Why was I going to call him Mark July? Who was I thinking of? Who's Mark? Eric July. Can really testify to that, because I mean, he's done go check out his videos on running his own business and being his own distributor. He's done a couple of videos on the problems with going with third party, is that they nickel and dime you to death, and a lot of creators are getting in, like they're getting into the space at the cost of not being able to make a living, and so they can't carry on but perhaps one or two issues.
Well, yeah, that's like when Crowder was bitching about the contract and production values, but he was doing the same damn shit.
Yeah.
He complained about that, but yeah, that's something. It's like the music industry. Everybody thinks if you get signed by a big label, you got it made. No, they take like 95% of your money.
Yeah.
If you let them. And
you've
even
only
then,
got it made,
looking
and you're happy if you're a big hit, and because 5% of billions is still a millions, and it's like, well, who's not happy with that? Until you realize how much they've taken from you, which happens a lot, which is why a lot of people in the music industry, after a couple of records, start going independent and becoming their own producer. They take their millions and build their own studios and start producing themselves.
It's like Taylor Swift. Took her a while, but she finally bought all of her masters back. Which was very smart on her part, because that's perpetual life income.
That's right. Intellectual property is a tough market to navigate, and most people are just so enamored if there's enough zeros on a contract that they wouldn't even pay attention to the rest of the contract.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what the whole like Daily Wire Crowder situation kind of illuminated, because and sometimes that's okay. All right, you don't have to own the IP if you're happy with how much you're making. I'd give up all my IP for $50 million over 4 years, $12.5 million a month. Yeah, I'd let you have all the IP in perpetuity, because I could retire off of that. It's okay. I'll start a different brand after I'm out of that contract. But obviously with Crowder, who has made it and has a ton of money, he's going to see through that and know that it's that his IP is worth a bit more than that.
Yeah, that's like it's like what Tim was talking about. Whenever they assessed Mar-a-Lago at 18 million. It's like, are you actually retarded? There's a business that makes 25 million a year. Like,
I mean,
why?
honestly, though, I'm gonna keep saying this. I am always happy when the government assesses a property far below its actual value, because fuck the government. You don't need that money. You don't need that money. And if you've misassessed it, that's your problem. You're stealing money anyway. So it doesn't make me sad at all if they undervalued Mar-a-Lago. At not one bit.
Well, you saw where his appeal on breaking up his companies went through, right?
No, I haven't. Followed that his. How many trials has he got now? He's been charged out of like 4 states. It's ridiculous.
Well, I read something's somebody posted on Twitter how an appeals judge stayed the order to break up the companies.
It's funny with the whole. There are definitely big companies that, at least in accordance with our laws, ought to have been broken up years ago.
Oh yeah.
but instead they've just been allowed to consolidate more. BlackRock,
The news companies.
all of the news companies, all of your food, like 99.8% of your food is owned by 10 companies. God, who else? The airline industry is consolidated by the finance sector. Most of the banks are owned by some bigger bank, and there's only a few banks at the top. Insurance companies are primarily owned by a few at the top. Yeah.
Dude,
How much is Kelsey making in 1 year? Like that, anybody who's making
know.
7 figures, like 7 figures, is enough to technically, like in reality, like retire on.
If you know what to do with that money.
True.
And you aren't an idiot, because a lot of those people just blow the shit out of it.
Well,
and not in a fun blowjob way.
No, sometimes it is in that way. But they just they just spend it on hookers and drugs. But
yeah. But
especially like if you're a celebrity, that's like that the majority, I'm sure.
I'll be back. I gotta take a leak.
Okay. Did we even stay on script today? What was the other stuff we were talking about? Let's see. Let's talk about Israel. Which, it's sad. Like I said, I don't know a ton about the Israel-Palestine conflict, or at least I am hesitant to make claims because I know there's so much propaganda regarding it, and I'm just primarily assuming that Israeli government and Hamas are both guilty of atrocities. And within the past 24 hours, Hamas has been guilty of atrocities on innocents because they have launched an attack on Israel. I think in the southern territories. There were rumors that Hezbollah from Lebanon was trying to get in on the action. And there are worries that Iran may do more on getting in on the action besides just funding Hamas. But again, libertarians have the best take on this, which is stop funding conflicts. Yes, it's horrific. The Hamas attack on Israel was horrific, criminal, and so stupid. It guarantees further suffering for their own people. Dave, I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, I think you know this. Hamas doesn't care about their own people, obviously. So it doesn't surprise me. The problem in America is that most people have a simplistic view of the situation. Yeah, especially conservatives. The Zionists have controlled the conservative movement for a very long time. Or at least they've been, there's a lot of people in positions of influence in the conservative movement that are all very Zionist. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA are completely Zionist. They're just pro-Israel. Israel does no wrong. And
it's like the Jews are everywhere.
Uh-oh. Now you've stepped in it.
Well,
let's see. They assume normal relations, and then out of nowhere, these savages just attack. Again, this is what libertarians have been pointing out for decades, is that most of the conflicts would probably have not happened if, especially the U.S., would stop instigating the conflicts in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe and in Africa and in South America, wherever else they are instigating conflicts, because they are instigating it all over the world.
Well,
the reality is that the treatment of the people in Gaza is also horrific, yes, and also guarantees further incidents like this. This is called blowback, all right? And we need this to be cognizant of that, especially as the U.S., who is getting involved with like every single thing, or even causing a lot of the conflicts in the first place. Should root for peace and recognize that all innocent life is precious. Yes, and we should all recognize that DC should stay the hell out of it, and especially like stop giving our money to them. A lot of people are pointing out in the conservatives movements, pointing out that Hamas probably got this money from Iran, who had some funds that were locked, released as part of some sort of prisoner exchange by Biden.
Yeah,
but at the
it's
same time, we
funny.
give Israel money every year, so it's like we are funding both sides of this conflict.
Well, with the prisoner exchange, it seems like America is really shitty at negotiation because we traded a transgender basketball player for the Merchant of Death, and
I don't even want to give him the dignity of calling him a transgender at this point, because I've seen that picture with his shirt off. It's a guy. It's a guy. I don't believe that they've ever been on hormones. It's just a guy. All right.
True.
Brittany's
Like
a guy.
That voice.
I gotta wonder what's your dead name, Brittany? What's your dead name?
Brad.
All right. What? Brad.
Brad.
Brett. Okay.
But
Like,
you know,
yeah.
we were on the losing side of that because I'm pretty sure Griner is not worth the world's most successful arms dealer. And we did it again with this whole prisoner transfer because usually you trade a prisoner for a prisoner. At least we did that with Griner. But in this one, we traded 5 prisoners for 5 prisoners and $6 billion. That is the amount of money that got unlocked for Iran.
See, that is one thing that Trump would do well in the White House, because remember who wrote the art of the deal? That has been his entire life, is contract negotiations. Like that is one thing that he does do well. I will give him credit for.
Trump
I think that is the reason why the Abraham Accords were successful, at least until Biden decided to run all over them and shit on them. But
Trump
yeah,
wouldn't have traded a pack of Newports for Brittany Griner.
and rightfully so. Like there's
like, nah, even even he wouldn't have done that to the black community.
It's just an embarrassment. Now, I mean, I'm against like drug laws in general, because I think you should have the right to, if you're going to harm yourself, you should have the right to. The government shouldn't get involved. And I think that the whole approach is kind of the war on drugs is just not good. But it's Russia, not the U.S. also. So what are you going to do about that? And if you don't have the wherewithal to, I don't know, abstain for just a little bit and not get in trouble. But I know that it's hard to not call Brittany a her, to be honest. Just like I could never get used to calling Blair White a him, to be honest, you know. So whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, if you don't have the wherewithal to abstain for a little bit, like you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. But I kind of feel that she overestimated her clout.
Apparently not.
Well, okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
you have to have the clout with the right people. I'm gonna caveat that, because it's like I think the overwhelming majority of people can't stand her. But the people in power who saw an opportunity to virtue signal, yeah. And that's all you were, Brittany. You were just an opportunity for them. They didn't actually care about you.
Well,
and, yeah.
I think it's just Biden wanting to fuel more and more conflict.
I don't think Biden's there enough to even understand about what he's doing, to be honest.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
The administration.
The person who's actually the people who are actually pulling the strings here, the deep state.
Like, you really like that arms deal like that being released, and then the money going to Iran, the Ukraine shit. Like,
I mean, you know that they're federal assets who are making deals with those people.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's why they want to release people like the Merchant of Death, is because I'm sure they made deals. They know who he is. I wonder if he had anything to do with a certain pedo that owned an island.
Oh yeah, Joe Biden definitely went to that island.
No. I'm talking about the Merchant of Death.
Oh.
We have no idea who actually did it. Right? But somebody went in there and took the hell out of that guy. I'm just gonna call it what it is.
No.
I don't care what YouTube thinks.
Biden wouldn't free somebody for killing one of his own. Kidding me? He's still sundowning about showers with Ashley
Oh my gosh.
to make that kind of move against Epstein.
Surprised Ashley hasn't gotten interviewed.
Dude,
I wonder if
she's probably
refused.
so Zoloft up, like
Yeah.
she's probably got the emotional range of a fucking flat piece of paper.
That's sad. That's really sad.
I mean, it is.
I couldn't
but
imagine being born into that family and then being abused like that.
Imagine being handed that kind of opportunity and just blowing it like they have.
Mhm.
Which I don't guess. Again, they haven't actually blown it. Look at what they're getting the fuck away with and what they probably
Right. Yeah.
will.
We keep misspeaking. It's like, it keeps working for
Yeah.
them. Again, incentives. The more they get away with, the more they get away with it, the more they're incentivized to keep going. And they do keep getting away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to continue to keep getting away with it until there's either a revolution or until Jesus comes back. You know, Jesus will make everything right when his second coming. You know, he'll judge everybody and all of that will be taken care of. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So I'm not that worried about it if we don't see justice.
Or until we get 218 Matt Gaetz in Congress.
That would be incredible. But you know what would happen? The fall of the Republic. But I mean, perhaps that's what we just need.
Yes. Take the
Look
black
at me.
pill.
Damn it, you got me throwing out black pills now. What the hell?
That's right. It is inevitable.
I am the Senate.
True. If the establishment had a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to see more names get out there. I think it'd be cool if some of these people would actually throw names. I know Matt Gaetz knows some names. He's met people. But I know he's not going to throw them out for fear of his own life.
Yeah, he's probably already terrified.
I think the only person that I would trust to actually throw out names there is RFK Jr. I think if he got into office, he's the only one that I think would actually do something. But I don't think he really has a legitimate shot, at least not now. It doesn't look like people are going to rally behind him. But if he ran as an independent, the whole spoiler thing, and that's assuming that somehow the whole rigging thing doesn't get, that the riggers get stifled somehow. And we have semi-legitimate vote counts. The whole like spoiler thing could be interesting to see play out.
Well, I wonder if because Trump said he would step in if they voted him in temporarily for speaker. I wonder if RFK would be worth getting in there.
Yeah, I'd go for either of those.
I mean, but what real power does he have, though? You know. I mean, obviously he can call certain bills to the floor for votes. Maybe that's enough, because then it would start exposing.
You got to look at
what
Justin
they are.
Amash's Twitter feed because he talks about this a lot. How the speaker's position has changed the way that Congress works. And it started decades ago, and it's just gotten worse. So the speaker position does have some power to revert it back to what it was supposed to be and give the representatives an actual chance to do something positive if they care to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like for example, bringing amendments out on the floor, that's not been a thing since I think Bonner. Definitely not under Pelosi, but I think it might have been under Bonner or maybe even Paul Ryan. Was Ryan before Bonner, or Bonner before Ryan? I forget. Anyway,
I think Ryan
for a long time. That's been. I'm not fully familiar with how their procedures work now, but I know there was a thing about amendments that Justin Amash constantly complains about, and so it's like you gotta get your stuff into the bills before they come out to the floor because getting an amendment out, a change on the floor is next to impossible.
Yeah.
Let the hate flow through you. Strike them down, and your journey to the dark side will be complete.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
I'm gonna throw out an invitation for Front Porch to come on and finish the show with you.
Yes, by all means,
so
Brian.
inclined.
If you're so inclined, by all means, come in.
Oh, because I would give my left nut for some kind of masseuse right now. I would definitely give a nut,
bro.
Bro. Oh man, I haven't been this tired in a long time. I don't know. It's probably a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Just get some rest, and you'll be back to yourself before too long.
Yeah. Well, next week we'll be getting checking to see what we can do about the stand, because if they just forgot it, we gotta hope I would hope they could ship it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
That way I could go ahead and start messing around with prints and stuff and getting ready for when you get up here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, worst case, I guess we'll just put it on the rolling stands, and I work with it until we find we do find a stand for it. But yeah. Dude, I would donate to her campaign.
Wow. So much there. So much. But yeah, there's a chance that I gotta push my trip back 2 weeks, but I gotta talk to my boss if I gotta work that Friday that I was originally planning, because one of the guys is planning to take vacation that day, but it depends on if they actually need me. But if there's actually a need for one of us, then they can't deal without both of us. So then I do have to work. But at least it's overtime, which is nice.
Yeah.
But worst case, then I'm just pushing back 2 weeks, and so it would be the first weekend in November that I would come up then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll let you know.
Worst case, if that's it, then I could just start doing. We could do like a soft open, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready to start getting this stuff out.
Yeah, me too. Let's get it going, and I'm sure people are anxious to have the shop open fully.
Yeah. Well, I want to get. I think before we do our marketing and super chat campaign, portion. I said we get the missed orders caught up.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can show like we fixed the issues.
Yeah.
And we like set our standard. Like this isn't the bullshit we had to work with before. Let's see. I'll go ahead and send this. What's going on with chat today? What is it? I wonder where's what's his name?
Rob? Willie?
Willie. Yeah, where's Willie been?
Willie was here last week, wasn't he?
He
was
might have
late, but
came
I'm pretty sure he was-
late.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brian, I sent you a thing in that group chat. And for anyone who did get an order missed and they've stuck around and waited, we're gonna send you some extra thing to show some appreciation for you guys.
Yes.
Because you guys have waited long enough.
Ripa had a special Mac stream I'm missing. Darn it.
Oh,
well. Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm hoping it's the announcement of Alpha Core.
Yeah. That'll be something else. Another collection I get started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's still going. But I'll have to keep him on mute.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I'm going to crash.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. My ass is going to pass out tonight. I don't know. Other than the Congress thing, I don't know. I know other stuff happened. I just
trying to think what else. Yeah, Front Porch probably has some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. And if you guys haven't, you need to check out Front Porch's channel. Let me grab his. Because Front Porch be doing some awesome shit. And like I said, I 100% believe he was born to be a commentator.
Yeah, that man needs to get monetized already.
Mm-hmm. And I have linked Brian's stuff in chat. He is also on Rumble. So let me grab that too. Where is it? Oh my god, I was singing a elementary school song about Halloween to my daughter today. It's like one of the few things I remember about elementary school. Oh, yeah, and here is Brian's or Front Porch's Rumble channel. Yeah, he does a good job, guys. You guys should definitely be checking him out. He had Force on me on the other night too. Ooh, I bet.
But yeah, that was fun stream. I was hanging out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to catch it, and I had 2 girls running around. God, my daughter is wide open all the time. Like, she's always wanting to play with somebody too. Like, she cannot just be here by herself unless it's the last day that she's here. Like the day before the day she leaves. Like that's when she's like, nah, it's just me and you. She went with me up there today, and she wanted to try her inline blades instead of the quads. So she was just skating around the shop the whole day while I was getting the machine out and putting it together. She's really, I think she'd be crazy awesome at athletics. She's got really good balance. She catches on to stuff like that really quick too. Z, how do you know about my vibrator problems? Complimenting me and you know my bedroom stuff?
Stalker? No, I'm just kidding, Z.
Maybe Z wants to marry me. Nah, Z's awesome.
Yeah.
Z makes cute little art things too. And God, I keep forgetting Z is way younger than us. Like I keep forgetting how old I'm getting. That's the actual problem.
Yeah, I'm literally twice her age. You're almost. I'm barely older than you.
I'm close. I am close.
Although I keep getting compliments about how I look. And people keep saying, you don't look 40, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, I'm running 50 miles a week. I'm thin and in shape. Yeah, walking with dinos. That's true. Blech. Look at Z. Hey, the Roman Empire is a daily thought process of mine, okay? Speaking of, did you know that the reason Elon Musk can't have a bigger rocket like he'd like to have is because of the width of a horse's ass?
What are you talking about?
Because roads made in Rome were wide enough for 2 horses to pass ass to ass.
Mm-hmm.
So roads were built to the same standard, which means that train tracks were also that width, the width of 2 horses' asses. And since all of the railroads are the width of 2 horses' asses, the place where the rockets are made, the train tunnel is set to that width. So that he can't get a bigger circumference rocket through there because of Roman horses' asses. So now you know why the Roman Empire is such an important topic to men. Man, I have fallen off the rails
Brian, get in here. Hang up on whoever you're talking to. He's fading fast.
Yeah. I'm like that kid at the Travis Scott concert. Fading away.
Did you finally read? Because I know you got the comic now. I Someone.
I will be reading that tomorrow.
Okay.
I got it. Yeah, I got it yesterday, and I didn't want to read it until I got to give my son his copy.
Hold on. I'm sending to you, Brian.
I sent it to you on Twitter in the group chat.
Yeah, it's already there on Twitter. I actually didn't get a notification about that. Even though it
Yeah,
says it was.
I don't get.
9 minutes
I'm
ago.
pretty
That's
sure
weird.
we're all flagged to not get notifications from half the shit we're supposed to. It's probably
I mean,
part of
and
the
I
shadow
have
banning.
quality filters on, so I don't get most notifications anyway. It's how I deal with trolls. It's so peaceful that way. I don't have to worry about the idiots that respond to my stuff.
Ah, our Lord and Savior.
Hey, no blasphemy in here.
Our overlord and voiceover savior.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, here I got it.
Okay.
The front porch conservative, Brian Trippett. Hello, sir.
Hey, gents, how you doing?
Good. I think you've got
I'm doing
an echo.
awesome.
Yeah, your speakers aren't set to your headphones.
Hang on.
I could tell by the look whenever he was backstage that he was working on something.
Is that better?
Test. Nope, still echoing.
Whenever he was backstage that he was working on something. I think that did it. Nope, it didn't.
Nope.
Try that.
Hello.
There, yeah, test. Hey, there we go. Good job.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
you
sir.
can hear me. Problem is I can't hear you. We
Oh no.
Oh no.
hate technology.
So his recording is working, but his audio is not.
Let me step out and come right back in. Hang on.
Okay.
I can still hear him.
Well, he didn't actually step out yet. There he
Yeah.
goes. Okay. All right, he'll figure it out. He's a smart guy.
Hey, he looked like me last week. Whenever I played that fire clip that I made of Dave Landau, and then I come in screaming to the high heavens by myself with no one else able to hear me.
Hey, you gotta get.
I need to post that. Well,
Yeah,
I
you
should
should
have
post
posted
that.
it. I should have posted it on the YouTube like a week and a half ago. God.
You okay?
Yeah. Can't sit like that.
Mm.
Oh, damn it. Love it. Love it. You ever been sitting there and it just feels like your hip is being crushed in a vice?
Say it again.
I said, you ever just been sitting there and it feels like your hip is being crushed in a vice?
My hip, no. My head, yes.
See,
Usually
now,
that's been
okay,
preceded by a lot of drinking.
maybe that's what it is, because I've never had headaches, like a regular headache. Like the worst I've ever had is like I'll get a splitting pain in my head for like maybe 1 or 2 throbs, and that's it. So I don't know.
Test. And we got the echo back.
So you can hear us. And
Well,
we
I
can
hope
hear
so.
you
Because
now.
going through his speakers, and because his mic's picking us up.
Right click on your sound icon in your taskbar, and it should bring up a thing that says sounds.
Oh.
Whatever you've done something that's cut out our sound.
Yeah, no echo. And your expression tells me you can hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. There
Do
we
we
go.
have an echo?
No
No.
echo.
Oh, thank God.
There we go.
Where's Robert Lowry to tell me that I boomered something else? Where is he? I'm waiting for this.
He's actually, I'm surprised he's not here tonight. I don't know what he's up to.
He's got to be doing something.
Yeah.
He was on my live stream this morning, which is fine. I mean, no problem. I mean, everybody's got lives, but you know, Robert's like one of my biggest cheerleaders, thank God. So always glad to have him around. How are you boys doing tonight?
I'm great.
I'm feeling awesome.
Cam's dragging me down though. Just
Yeah, I was gonna say, you remind me of some mornings that I woke up after a really good party, and that's kind of what you're sounding like right now. It was a real good idea at the time, and then the next morning you're like,
That's Orlando. I remember Orlando. I skipped out on going to karaoke because I wanted to run in the morning.
Oh yeah.
You we were gonna go to the beach so I could go run on the beach, and you were gonna go like collect seashells or whatever. And but he showed up at like
what he's gonna do
4:35. I don't know. It was right before I was gonna wake up anyway, so I could go run before it got too hot.
Yeah, like I sincerely wish what Brian said is the reason I felt this way. Like I would so much rather be hungover right now. But yeah, or that night, Lila Hart smoked me the fuck out. Like,
really?
Yeah.
She is an enjoyer of the herb, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it's totally understandable with what she's got going on to you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people I know with that, and what's the one where your nerve sheath starts deteriorating?
MS?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Multiple sclerosis. Yeah. That helps out a whole lot with those people like that. So
yeah, I've known people with autoimmune diseases that are become heavily reliant on cannabis to deal.
Well, I must say I'm very glad to be on here tonight, if for no other reason to defend the honor of my favorite GOP stripper. I will not hear a bad word said about Lauren Boebert while I'm on this live stream.
All right, I'm gonna give one bad word. She voted for McCarthy, but
all right, I'll give you that. Past that, I don't want nothing else. Nothing else about my girl.
I mean, it's almost why I won't date leftists anymore. They keep voting for dumb shit.
Yeah. Well,
but God, I mean, she is hot.
Oh, there ain't no denying that.
She does have excellent boobs.
And everything else to go with it. There's just no line about that. Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, woman, just no, it's not fair. I mean, have you noticed that all the hot women are on the right side of the political spectrum, with notable exceptions on the left? The only exception I could think of is maybe AOC when she's not running her mouth.
Only half, yeah.
Well,
sometimes AOC, because she has a really good body, but her face.
True.
And granted, I mean, like when it comes to the people who make the memes, they're very good at capturing like her worst expressions, you know?
Oh yeah.
So it kind of turns you off just a bit.
Like the googly eyes with the horse's ass for a face.
Yeah.
Ah, bless her heart.
Well, they've actually done a study that shows like conservatives tend to be more attractive because
they take
they
care of
take better
themselves.
care of themselves. Yeah.
I mean, the left's whole mantra is use pharma and cosmetic surgery to deny who you are and use pharma and cosmetic surgery to become whoever the heck you want to be in hopes that you're finally happy, which for the vast majority, if not almost all of them, ends up not being the case anyway. And they still end up either detransitioning, offing themselves, sadly, or just living miserably, which is where the ones that are still around are at. It's
Crash. There is nothing hotter to me than a huge shapeless mass of adipose tissue from head to toe telling me I need to fix her a sandwich and she's got the best pussy this side of the Mississippi.
even though it's made from an inverted penis.
Look,
Hey, those
we're
pouches
not-
are a lot
not
tighter
worrying
than the
about-
single moms.
Look, origin stories can be put aside for the greater good. That's all I'm saying. I mean, how it got created. I mean, are we really who's gonna argue and fuss and fight about that sort of thing? Really? I mean, come on now. Oh, speaking of studies, did you fellas hear the one about beer goggles?
No,
This is the true story. True story. There's a group
You
of
tell.
There's a group of scientists out in New York State, and I believe actually in Colorado, ironically enough, who did a joint study together and have come to the conclusion that the phenomenon that we commonly call beer goggles is not true. After doing two study groups, one randomized and one not, they've come to the conclusion that the phenomenon that we call beer goggles is not true. The only thing that alcohol does is loosen inhibition. It does not make people prettier. I am so glad to know that my tax dollars have gone to fund such a worthy effort.
I mean, I feel like
As soon as
we
you
could have
said that, I
told
was
you
like,
for free.
yeah,
Because it's absolutely right. It's being
You're-
drunk makes you more likely to settle for whoever you can get versus thinking that the person at 2 a.m. who's or 3 a.m. whenever the bar is closing
that reminds me
hasn't
of
found
my-
someone to go home with yet is actually attractive.
I have heard of some all-night bars. Not that I've ever been caught in one at 6 a.m., but I have heard about them. I'm just saying. So
Vegas has them. I mean,
Oh,
Vegas
yeah.
is 24/7.
I think you guys are impugning my favorite saying at the bar.
Oh,
What is that?
Aye, matey, the hour be late, but her blowhole be wet. Ah, damn it, I messed it up. It's R.
that's how tired he is. He screwed up his favorite saying.
It's R. The hour be late and she be a whale, but her blowhole be wet. That's what it is.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So, oh my god. Yeah, there is. Go ahead.
No, I was just, gentlemen, I'm going to call it. My back is kicking my ass right now. So
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to listen to you guys.
Well,
And
I'll put in a phone call to Bobert's DC office and see what it takes to get her to do a road trip, and we'll see if we can get you some help. I'm just saying.
Dude, just send her a good picture of me from the stream and be like, "Hey, he doesn't ask questions. No one will ever know about this."
He's extraordinarily discreet.
Yes, and the mouth of a Greek god.
And there are no infrared cameras anywhere on his premises, and you don't have to worry about that crap. How you want to handle this from there, Congressman Boebert, is entirely up to you. And the boy's talented in more ways.
Decent looks, great mouth, pull-out game is strong.
Yeah. What more can you ask for? I mean, seriously. And Congresswoman, you happen to find yourself in a situation where you are currently unattached. So I'm just saying,
Dude, I would shit bricks if I got to go on a date with Lauren Boebert.
I'd shit bricks if you got to go on a date with Lauren Boebert. Not you. What do you think about me? It's like what?
Like, what's weird is like, no matter how because I've been on dates with really hot chicks, and I'm lucky enough to be able to just still be myself, even if I'm intimidated. Like I can still be like on the inside, I'm like freaking out, but I can keep it together enough to act normal. But I don't know. I feel like most guys who know how to actually be a man can do that too. Like there might be a little excitement, but you're just people.
I mean, probably it more comes from experience than anything. If you've talked to a lot of girls, eventually you get used to talking to girls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what dating coaches will tell you. It's just like it's all, I mean, the good ones will tell you. It's just in the end, it's just practice. Talk to women, and then they won't be so intimidating because you'll find out, oh, they're just normal people. They have aspirations, desires.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm totally fine with her just right in my face and then leaving.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he's a simple man, Crash. I mean, it's not like he
Yeah.
asks for a lot in life. I mean,
If we were Catholic, I'd tell you to go to confession in the morning, but
I take pleasure in giving other people pleasure. I'm a selfless man.
he's trying to bring happiness to everyone.
If that's not righteous and next to godliness, then I don't know what is.
Are you saying if that's not righteous, I don't want to be right? Is that what you just said? Oh gosh!
As the lightning bolt comes down through his ceiling as he says this, yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, if it would end this pain right now, I might be okay with that.
I'll say a prayer for you tonight, Cam. You need it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna pray for myself after this. What are you talking about? Front porch. Thank you for coming on, man.
No,
Yeah.
no problem,
I
dude.
appreciate it.
I was doing domestic stuff around the house tonight, listening to you guys. So, thank you for having me on here. I'll tag me in and I'll give you some relief.
Yeah, and dude,
phrasing.
Well.
Oh, that's gonna get clipped by somebody somewhere. I'm very sure of that.
Hey,
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, Of course, Cam, you can't say anything. You're the man who came up with the expression "I'm the penis fly trap" on my live stream the other day. It's like, jeez.
It's not that you mean to be.
I just I don't know what it is. Just
Ironically, this is you're at yet another sausage fest.
Like, oh my god, I have no idea.
We'll get Z in here one day.
Someday.
That'd be
Someday.
That would be funny. All right, go get some sleep, you pirate.
I will.
Yarr.
Everyone who is watching, like I said, check out Brian's stuff. He hosts a very excellent show, and he was born for this. So check him out. Everybody have a good night. Have a good weekend. Be safe. And Crash will just shout out the stuff at the end, and yeah.
Flagrant triggers except for hard R on Twitter.
Yep.
Got it.
And lifetime discounts still for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, at least a couple weeks, maybe longer. But yeah, definitely jump in on that. Those are never coming back.
Nope.
Those are never coming back.
After this. And Brian, like we were saying earlier, our first order of business before we really get going on the promotion campaign and super chatting everything is we're going to take care of people who missed our orders first, and we're throwing some extra stuff in for them. So
they've been waiting for almost a year at this point.
Yeah, I do have one person who's been waiting almost a year. So
oh wow,
yeah,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I'll post this again later, but here's the campaign page in the chat.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, have a good night, and thank you again, Brian.
No problem, sir. Glad to help you out.
All right, later, guys.
Night.
Yeah. All right. Okay. What
Your
do you
honorary
want to
Clout Goblin there, Brian.
Well, I've been given so many titles over the years, and this one I take with high honor. I'm an honorary Clout Goblin, so I am here for it. This is good. All right. What do you want to talk about? Shall we talk? You want to talk about Gaetz? You want to talk about what do you want to get into? I am here for the party.
Well, I mean, so we've already talked about Gaetz. We've talked a little bit about Israel because that was kind of a surprising thing this morning. Kind of the next thing on your bingo card, right? Everybody's looking for like the next big thing. It looks like the Israel war is going to be it. I mean, I guess we'll see how long it lasts if other countries try to get involved. I'm going to say this. I'm going to throw this out there. That might be fulfilling a prophecy if other countries getting involved.
Yeah.
If it does, that's end times. If you don't know Jesus, get to know Jesus, because some of us are going to disappear. If I disappear, it wasn't aliens. All right? It was not aliens. It was Jesus. And if you're still here, that means you didn't get something right when your relationship with Jesus. Pray to him, make it right. You'll have to go through hard times for about 7 years, unless you get beheaded in midway, which is what's to come. Ironically, like the beheading seems to be a big thing with the radical Muslims, right? So it kind of plays right into that, right? But anyway, just PSA. All right. Like the reason why people talk about end time so much is because sometimes it really looks like the apocalypse is coming and Jesus might be coming back soon, which has me excited and scared all at the same time. Because for my friends who don't know him, I hope you figure it out, because I want you up there in heaven with me as well.
Yeah, the more that I look around the world, the more I'm realizing, oh crap, things that I learned about a long time ago are starting. The tumblers on the combination lock are starting to fall into place, and this one's got the potential right now for everybody to blow up, because you've got Iran sitting over there with $6 billion of our freaking money. Then you've got everybody is in place. Turkey is doing its thing. Russia is quite capable of doing its thing. They're proving that with Ukraine all the time. And now it's like you have an unprovoked attack on Israel all of a sudden, and Israel's doing what Israel, I think any nation would do, is that they're trying to defend their people. And I agree with you. There's atrocities on both sides. I don't think there's no one in that conflict whose hands are clean over the past 60 years.
Yeah.
But it's the images that are coming out of the Gaza Strip and out of Israel are just awful. I mean, they're awful to see.
You still have the right to defend yourself and your people. All right.
Yeah. And
regardless, whoever's the aggressor in this instance, like you don't get the right to just become an aggressor because something happened to somebody else years ago. All right.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, not to mention, like when it comes to Hamas, and not just Hamas, these other radical Muslim groups, Hezbollah, ISIS. The truth is that they don't want peace, which is why I've never believed that there was going to be peace coming until the Palestinian people uprised against their own leaders and put actual leaders who sought their best interest. But what Hamas wants, because they've said this, all right, is they want the destruction of Israel because they hate Jewish people. They are anti-Semitic. They're as bad as Nazis. All right. I mean, it doesn't excuse what Israel's government has done to Palestinian people. All right. From that standpoint, I kind of liken them more to our own government, who has done atrocities. It's just for different reasons. More for power, control, money. So it's just different. Whereas, like, one side's more religious zealot, and this other side's more just power hungry.
Oh, absolutely. And I, I have a question. I think a lot of Americans are having right now, and people are going to say, "Well, it's too early to tell if Iran is involved in these attacks." Okay, maybe.
Right.
All right. Well, let's just take the argument and say it's true.
Okay. Sure.
Does anybody really think that any of that $6 billion didn't worm its way into the hands of Hamas? Seriously? I mean, Iran's been funding terrorism in the Middle East since the 1970s. Does
Yeah.
anybody think they're going to stop? Which sort of begs the $1 million question. And I think today brings this into focus for people, and how long they're going to focus on it is obviously another question. But that is, why in the name of God are we funding the people who hate us?
I know, right?
Why are we?
Well, we got to remember, like, we were the ones who overthrew their actual democracy.
Mhm, yeah.
That is why they've been funding terrorism for 50 plus years. Like, what the heck? Like, how did we not learn our lesson? Maybe it's because, maybe the intentions of people in our government aren't in our favor, but their own. Maybe. If you think about what's the incentive there? War is good business.
Mhm.
If you haven't figured that out yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was trying to find real quick. There was a tweet by Jack Posobiec that he's got, and Posobiec is one of those cats. He's got people all over the place that he's getting information from. And apparently, if you even utter the word Iran inside the White House right now, you could probably lose your job today, because nobody. No, I mean, that's exactly how he said it. It's like, if you utter the word Iran inside the White House today on this Saturday, you might very well lose your job, because now that whole $6 billion, the very thing that I just said, and it's not because I'm the one that said it, everybody in America is looking at this going, even normies are looking at it going, now, why did we give $6 billion to these people, and all of a sudden Hamas is attacking Israel?
Right.
I mean, people are putting 2 and 2 together. They're realizing, oh yeah, we really screwed up on this one, really, really bad.
Yeah, and I mean, like, pay attention, people, because I guarantee you, there's going to be calls to send Israel more aid.
Yeah.
Remember, they have no interest in actually ending these wars. Otherwise, these wars would already be over. Why do you think they funnel in this money like a little bit at a time? I mean, most of that money doesn't even go towards actual like fighting. If you look at Ukraine, how much it went towards just domestic purposes. And then, of course, there was how much was laundered, through the FTX scandal.
Oh, I know. I know.
And yeah, it's the war is profitable. The longer it goes on, the more money they make. So I every time I see someone, especially a politician, posting like, we got to end this war, it's just like, you have no interest in ending this war. You're full of shit. You're lying. You have every interest in prolonging it, because if you actually had an interest in ending it, we actually could end it. It is true. We do still have the forces, despite the wokeness that's infiltrated the military. We could end the Russia-Ukraine war very quickly. We do have the forces to do that. We're not so. I mean, we'd have to redeploy because we're so spread thin across the entire globe. But Israel, or not Israel, sorry, I'm getting this confused. Russia's whole GDP, I think, is about the same as our defense budget.
Or the size of Texas.
Yeah.
Or about the size of Texas. Yeah, I mean, the Russian, I mean, and the irony of it is, and I mean, everybody gives Trump all kinds of hell for like, oh, I can end this war in 24 hours. Okay, it might take more than 24 hours, but the point is this, and this is another question.
Well, yeah, it took 3 weeks to invade Iraq, right?
Yeah,
to get to completely.
Yeah, well, but I mean, but there is a valid point here, and it's this: why is the American government, ever since the start of the Ukraine war and other conflicts around the world, why are we the ones that are trying to instigate the fighting, as opposed to being the ones in our traditional role of, why aren't we being the ones that are trying to negotiate the peace? Under normal circumstances, we'd be there, at least on the surface. God only knows what the CIA is doing underneath. But on the surface, we're there trying to negotiate peace. We're trying to get the two sides to the table. We haven't done that in the Ukraine conflict ever since this started. As a matter of fact, there were 2 negotiated peace deals near the very beginning of the whole Ukraine-Russia conflict, and we and the British helped scuttle both of them.
Yep.
And now we're just keep pumping money into this and pumping money into this, and it's the same
It's like
thing.
They don't even hide it anymore.
Yeah, they're not even trying to hide it. And now
the whole front of like, oh, we're here to make peace. Like, they don't even put out that effort anymore. Like, it's just not a thing. Like, we're not going to see any like calls for peace talks between Israel and Palestine, I'm predicting, over the next year.
No, and what you're going to see is us, standing with Israel, helping them with military weapons, You know, which okay, you can debate the wisdom of doing that, but no one is going to be talking about peace, which also goes to something else. And again, I am not trying to turn this into an election stream at all, but there is a valid point. Is why is it that toward the end of the previous administration we had the Abraham Accords and we had Middle Eastern nations coming on being willing to sit down and say, okay, look, I may not like the nation of Israel, but 60 years is enough.
Mm.
Let's see what we can do, at least to have some kind of a tenuous non-aggression moment in the world history. Okay. Ever since then, we've been ramping up things in Syria. We've ramped up things in Ukraine. We've ramped up things in the Taiwan Straits. We've ramped up things everywhere around the world. And we're giving money to people who hate our guts. I mean, there was a video that came out today, and I think it was from the Iranian parliament, where they're chanting death to America. Now, whether that was within the past 24 hours when that was recorded, or if it was recent or in the past few months, it doesn't really matter. This is the mentality of the people that we're trying to do deals with. You know, cut them off. You want to stop this stuff? Cut off the money.
Like how much? I'm curious now how much we give in foreign aid versus the deficit. Like just cutting foreign aid would cut the deficit so deeply.
Well, and the other issue is, and you've touched on something else, that is we've got troops spread out all over the world. Why? I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the strategic importance of having a base somewhere if you need to do a military operation. But my God, we are all over the frickin' globe. Japan, Germany, Africa, Italy. I mean, name the bases. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. In fiscal year 2022, the U.S. spent $44 billion on foreign obligations, a $9 billion increase from the previous year. Okay, so it doesn't impact the deficit as much as I would have hoped. It's still a lot of money, though. It's enough to buy Twitter.
How much
44 billion. 44 billion. Yeah, it's like the cost of Twitter. It's funny.
Oh, which by the way, don't forget the Powerball is 1.4 billion tonight. So, y'all, I'm not encouraging to gamble, but I'm not. Somebody's got to win this thing. Oh crap!
I'm sure my parents are playing. They play. They play Mega Millions and Powerball all the time. I am just putting my money into crypto and hoping that next year is a really good year for crypto. We shall see.
We shall see, indeed.
Yeah, if I'm in my own place a year from now, you know that I've done really well in crypto.
If I've got my second home in Destin, Florida, you'll know I hit the Powerball. No, I've said if I were going to move to Florida, it'd be the Panhandle for any number of different reasons. One, I love the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I'd be within shouting distance of Alabama. And if I want to go to a Crimson Tide football game, it's just a short drive up the road. Yeah, I know y'all Auburn fans out there watching this live. Oh, you dirty, no good. Yes, cool your jets, okay? Everybody likes what they like. So there's that. And number three, if, God forbid, a hurricane hits the Panhandle of Florida, hey, I am straight up the road in any number of different directions. I can get out of there quick. So
yeah.
Plus, I hear the bicycling down there is fantastic. The road trails are amazing for people who like to ride bicycle. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine. She's got a family member down in Pensacola, and it's nothing for her to take her road bike down there, and she'll ride like 60 miles. And it's just beautiful trails. So if you like cycling, which you run. Not that I've done it in a while because I've been a little busy with this social media thing, but you run, I do cycling. So, but yeah, it's Florida for that. In that regard, is a load of fun. There
was a time where I tried to get into triathlon, and I had a really nice bike for a while, but I sold it before I moved to Florida. Rather, I sold it back to the person who sold it to me.
Tri bikes are really good. They really are.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that bike. So I know what kind of bike I want to get when I do get another one. If I ever try to do triathlon again, I'm too skittish about actually trying a triathlon race because I just don't swim well, and I'm deathly afraid of drowning. So
Well, I have all the buoyancy of a person who could sink in the Dead Sea. So hence why I don't do triathlons.
I was gonna say the Dead Sea is probably my only shot at surviving a triathlon. I wonder if they have triathlons out there. Because I could probably manage that because you're so buoyant, huh? I have to think. I have to look. I mean, granted, it's like how close is that to the Israel conflict? It's the only thing you gotta be worried about.
These are factors you have to consider when you're trying to decide what kind of a what you want to do. Where am I going to go do my triathlon? Okay, how close am I to a bunker? Well, okay, I can make it on my bike. I can do this. Although I got it. Let's see. Would I do a triathlon in Israel if I could hang out with a female Israeli athlete? Ooh. I gotta think. I gotta really think about this one. Oh god, yeah, but I mean, getting back to more serious things, yeah, it's tragic what's happening over there right now. And you're right. We're gonna pump money into Israel. We're gonna pump arms into Israel, and we're not even gonna try. Not with this administration. We're not even gonna try and negotiate peace.
No,
That's the tragedy of it.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of warmongers in the White House, but run with an idiot Secretary of State who's a fool. I mean, I'm sorry, Blinken's an idiot.
Yeah. Entire cabinet. I can't think of a single person
No.
that I think is even remotely decent.
Yeah, and that's the sad part about it. I agree with you. There's not a
I mean,
one of
even
them.
Trump's administration was full of idiots. It was terrible. I mean,
True.
that was kind of his big problem was that he hired from the same pool that everybody else was hiring.
Yeah,
That's why his presidency was I mean, wasn't as successful as it could have been. I mean, it could have been an incredible success, but he just had he had the exact wrong people around him.
Yeah, and it wasn't until the end when he got Mark Meadows in as chief of staff, and then he got a handful of other people in Office of Management and Budget who were doing the hiring that they finally started weeding out some of these people, particularly in the undersecretary positions. And it would have been fascinating to watch if Trump's administration had not been interrupted by 2020.
Yeah.
Because they were ready to implement Executive Order F, Schedule F of the Executive Order on hiring and firing, which would have given him more ability to weed out people of the federal government. And, the second term would have been amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really would.
I really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
That was the main reason why I did full disclosure, I did vote for him. I'm a libertarian. I did not like our libertarian candidate. Sorry, Joe Jorgensen. You seem like a nice person. You don't make a great libertarian candidate. You're basically a neocon.
Who are the libertarians running this year? Or next year, I should say.
I mean, we don't have a candidate yet. This is part of the problem with our process is that we don't have a fixed candidate until after convention, which is, I want to say I think it's April of next year.
Okay.
So we have a bunch of people running for the, we're basically having our primary right now. But of course the primary, ours isn't done the same way as say the GOP, where you have popular votes in the state. And then depending on which state, at least for most states, those delegates are guaranteed for that person who won by a popular vote. Where like you actually have to get the state committees to elect and send delegates to the national convention to vote for you. Like, you have to go through that whole process. It's a lot more old fashioned. And so it's not even state committees. You have to get the state party or the parties on a statewide level to elect delegates that are in your favor. Every state gets, the rest of it's kind of the same. Every state gets a different number of delegates based on how many libertarians we have in each state. Okay. And I think for 2022, we had a little over 1,000. It was close to 1,100, I think, delegates at national. I expect it'll be approximately the same here. So you got to get, probably 550-ish votes at the delegate level to pass it to get the nomination at the national convention.
Okay.
And that also means, well, actually, I don't know if this is the case for candidacy. Like for a committee position, you actually have to beat the NOGA, none of the above. We actually run that as a candidate. It's by default. It's in our bylaws.
Okay.
So if you don't get like for example, the vice chair race in 2022 was the most competitive out of all of the committee positions, and if Josh. So what happened? It was kind of, it's not, is it ranked choice technically? I'm not sure, but essentially you do round after round. If you don't get a majority, if nobody gets a majority, then you drop off the last person, and you do another round, and you drop to the last person until somebody gets at least 50%. Well, the vice chair race actually went to Josh Smith versus none of the above, and so he won obviously, and he became the vice chair. But it was actually possible that if enough people voted for none of the above, it would just be left vacant. And then I mean, I know none of the committee actually watches this show, but if Angela or Michael, any of you people actually come across this, you can correct me and let me know how that works for
Wait
national
a
candidacy.
minute. You mean the libertarians are not watching this live stream?
I know it's a travesty. What's wrong with you, Miss McCarthy?
Hell?
Like,
Oh my
I'm like the most libertarian person that you've ever seen. All of the rest of y'all are fake. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, you're out there advocating for libertarian positions all the time. You're out there trying to advance the Libertarian Party. And can you get some love from your fellow libertarians? Hell no. Ain't watching this stream, bunch of losers. Well, except for Forrest Mommy, of course. If she were here,
of course. Forrest knows about us. I mean, to be fair, I don't advertise to them very well. Mostly because that's part of the problem with the Libertarian Party is we don't get along very well. We're so individualistic. That's why we can't. I mean, besides the fact that the two big parties keep us down and keep us from getting anywhere, through all the things that they do with the debates and ballot access. As a party ourselves, we've always had such disunity. And it's no exception now. We probably had the most unity that we've had in a while because the Mises Caucus was pretty unified in getting the messaging changed. But even then, like my social media feeds is just constant with libertarians like going at each other's throats, and then some libertarians being like, "Guys, why do we go after people who agree with us on 95% of crap?" Like we agree on like so much, but we disagree on one issue. Borders is a hot topic, for example, and it's just like, oh, you're not a real libertarian, and we need to be expelled from the party. And it's just like we're never going to get anywhere if we can't get any actual unity in our own party. Well, it's kind of sad.
Well, what you're describing is almost like the defense of Kevin McCarthy last week. And I just found it to be so remarkably pathetic. All the and here's why. All these Republicans are standing up, be it Jim Jordan or Thomas Massey, and I know I'm feeling you, brother, on Massey. Massey should have dropped the hammer and voted with Gaetz and all the rest of them. But I mean, they're standing up and saying, but he's for reducing the deficit. He's for closing the border. He's for then why is someone ready to bring a motion to vacate the chair? If he's all these things and butter on bread, then why is there a significant number of people that want him gone? And by the way, you 96% of Republicans in the House in the GOP caucus in the House, some of y'all are the biggest bunch of chicken crappers I've ever seen, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
In your heart of hearts, you should have voted with Gaetz and you didn't do it. So that one's on you. But I mean, you were talking about some of the people earlier who voted to remove him. I mean, Nancy Mace of South Carolina, and she, to me, she was the one vote that was the most intriguing because there's a lot of things you can say about Nancy Mace. She's definitely not some MAGA America First right wing bomb thrower. I mean, she's pretty moderate conservative. As a matter of fact, the pro Trump people tried to primary her out back in 2022. Couldn't do it. She hung on to her nomination, but even she said, she's like, look, he promised me stuff, he wouldn't do it. I got a belly full of it. I said, that's enough. I'm done. And it's like when you got somebody like Nancy Mace coming out and saying something like that, it's like, oh crap, this was bad. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can't just say, oh, it's all a bunch of right-wing bomb throwers who didn't like McCarthy or how conservative or not conservative enough that he was. This wasn't about that. This was about, you made us promises. You've had 10 months. You ain't kept your word. We're going to enforce the provision of our agreement that says you don't do it, we bring the motion to have you removed. And that's what they did. So I don't see why anybody's bitching at Gaetz. As far as I'm concerned, all he's doing is enforcing a boundary. Yeah.
But these people don't understand boundaries. I mean, how many... Oh, man.
Go for it.
How many of these people, especially the ones who've been there for a long time, were friends with Jeffrey Epstein? That tells you about boundaries. If you can't keep your hands off of a child, you have no boundaries. Good Lord, Flagrant. Repent, sir. Repent.
Lord, he apologizes, and please be with the starving pygmies in New Guinea. Amen.
Amen. Oh man,
and you wonder, and Cam, you wonder why the girls called the cops on you when you were doing things outside their window. You even have to ask that question even after all these years? Really? I'm in a good mood tonight. I really am. I think that
me too.
I'm trying to get back into going to the gym on a regular basis. And I've got a buddy of mine who we affectionately refer to her as the skinny bitch. And no, you'd have to meet her. She's a load of fun, but she's got one of those low key senses of humor. And and this is her own nickname that she gave herself. So I'm not calling her anything out of school here. She'll really call herself the skinny bitch. So we lift weights about 4 days a week at our local gym, but I'm trying to get back into like doing more cardio. So today I went on the elliptical. I got it up to like 32 and a half minutes. Come Monday, I'll go back in. I'll push it to 35. And then just when it finally hits an hour, then I'm going to drop it back, increase the resistance level another notch, and then just start the cycle all over again. And then before you know it, hopefully I can get between that and trying to control what I eat, I can get some of this crap off of me. But yeah, I've got more energy now. I really do. So,
are you training in zone 2 by chance? Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay.
I have no idea what that means.
Look that up. It'll make a huge difference. At least in my opinion. At least it has helped me with my running a lot. I mean, essentially, so when it comes to running, essentially it's running slow to run faster. So you're shooting what in the trees?
Your nickname is not Spider-Man, okay? You are not Peter Parker. You ain't even Miles Morales, okay? Just cut that crap out. Good God.
Good Lord, dude.
No, don't encourage him. Just don't encourage him. Really? Don't encourage him. Gosh.
Your mind's in the gutter tonight, Cam. That's how tired you are. Well, no, your mind's always in the gutter.
Not in the gutter? That's my question.
I mean, I get it. My mind wanders there way too much also. So, but I'm trying to be better about it. What were we talking about? He's derailing like everything with his jokes.
That's you too. Oh my God. You got to put some of these comments up here for people to read them, or else they're not. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hold on. So this one first.
Yeah.
In response.
Like, oh my God.
Okay, at least you corrected yourself. Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Oh my god. Aren't you supposed to be going to bed?
Right? I thought you were tired, man.
Exactly. Zone 2 is what we were talking about before Spooger Man decided to drop his comments in.
All right, so I mean, there's, just look up stuff on YouTube about Zone 2 training.
Okay.
I personally think the most effective way is figuring out your Zone 2 heart rates and then just trying to keep your heart rate within that range.
Okay.
For a workout. But yeah, a lot of people are starting to recommend that you do a majority, up to 80% of your cardio training in Zone 2 because it stimulates your aerobic system, which burns more. So there's a couple things of that. One, it builds your endurance. So especially if you're looking to be an endurance athlete, you have to build your aerobic system up. It's called aerobic. So another name for this is called aerobic base training.
Okay.
So it's just changed to Zone 2 just because of the heart rate science that's come out surrounding it. Because they divide heart rate into like 5 zones. Where like 1's like super easy, Zone 2's low cardio, Zone 3's high cardio, Zone 4 is what's called threshold, which is where you're starting to burn almost too much lactate, and you start to feel, that's where you really start to feel the burn, and then Zone 5's all out. But yeah, anyway, people online can do a much better explanation of that. Coach Perry on YouTube does a great explanation of it. I'd bookmark that channel.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just let the algorithm take you down the rabbit hole and Zone 2 training from there. And there's some differences between people's opinions on how it should be executed, but they're close enough that like it's not. I don't think it's going to make a difference whose formula you follow to get close enough to there. But to me, like I think the most important, like the 2 big keys for me, which is why I like Zone 2 training, is one, like it burns fat. So like I'm trying to lean up, I would really like to see my 6-pack again. I haven't seen it since high school. And then when I was super skinny, so it was just like, it wasn't even that hot, because I was just skinny. I was skinny fat.
I saw my 6-pack recently, and it was the other night, and it was like a whole set of Budweiser. So I mean, I had no problem seeing it whatsoever. So and no,
I'm probably gonna go out and
do not put his most recent comment up there. For the love of God, do not do this.
Okay, I won't do it.
No. We're not going to repeat some of what is said. If you happen to be in YouTube and you see what this lunatic is typing, I can't control that. But we are not.
We disavow. I don't know who this guy is, even though it's his channel. We just.
We don't know who the lunatic is. We don't know how he even got in the room. It's like, daggone. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think the mistake a lot of people make with cardio is they train too hard, so they don't recover well enough. So that's the other big point, is that you get a lot of gains and you're able to recover well, so you're able to do more, and you're less likely to get injured. But I see a lot of people who, especially runners, who run hard every run, and then they don't get any faster, and then they're constantly injured year after year. And it's like you gotta do some easy runs in there. You can't just run fast all the time. And I mean, granted, I've been there. I did that a lot before I learned how to properly train, because I love running fast. I mean, so I get it.
Yeah,
but you got to train smart, not hard.
I have cyclist buddies of mine who will do what's called a century ride, which is a 100-miler, and they'll wait till the next day, and they'll go out and do like a 10 to 20 mile ride just to keep their legs loose, just to like. It sounds counterintuitive, especially if you're not into cycling. And for those of you who are watching, but a 10 to 20 mile ride after you've ridden a really long distance the day before is a good way to like keep the lactic acid from really building up in your quads and your calves and everything else, and it just keeps you limbered up. Surprisingly, you will not, if all you do after a very, very, very long ride is don't ride the next day, you're probably run the risk of doing yourself more harm in the long run, as opposed to just like taking a 10 to 15 mile ride somewhere on a bicycle and just work out your legs. Just nothing fancy, not fast, not anything else. Just work out your legs. It's like running. It's like you said. It's like you do a long run, and then maybe the next day or the day after you do something kind of shorter.
Yeah, some shorter, nice and easy. Yeah, and it's I mean, the other reason for this is to get the blood flowing. That's how you flush out the lactic acid. Is you got to get blood flowing through those muscles.
You do realize we just opened the door for Flagrant to drop some other comment in about blood flow and everything else. I could just hear him typing right now.
He's furiously typing.
Yeah.
Well, better that your hands. Where are your hands, Flagrant? Better
Yeah,
here than
Keep those hands on the keyboard, boy. That's
yeah. Close the porn tab. Close Pornhub.
Hey, you're not here in body. We know you're here in spirit. It's like you said, we're just trying to set you up. It's like it would be like if Chrissy Mayer and Gino Biscotti were on stage together. The first question is, who's the setup man? Then who's delivering the punchline? That's all we are. We're the setup man for your punchline. So take it away. We know what's coming. It's on you. That's all. So. Oh gosh. I know we were on a fairly serious topic. Now where were we? I don't know.
I know we got distracted by Zone 2 cardio.
Yeah, and Spooker Man over here. Well, I mean, okay, now I think I remember where we're at. We're kind of like we're still on the Gaetz McCarthy thing, or at least I'd swerved into it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I found interesting, everybody's like, "Oh man, it was that continuing resolution bill that killed him." I was like, "No, it's not." No.
That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. It's been building.
Well, I don't think it was so much the CR. I think it's when everybody realized that McCarthy may have done a side deal with the White House and the House Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
To vote for the CR on the guarantee that he'd bring a clean Ukraine bill for an up or down vote. Because I found articles on that where there were Republicans in the Senate, not the House, the Senate, who were saying, hey, I've heard the same thing. I've heard he did a deal with Biden, Schumer, and Jeffries, to get the House Democrats to vote for this. And I'm sitting here going, oh, if that was true, then it explains it. But to me, he did himself in the 2022 election when he didn't get as big a majority as he possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
He got just enough of a majority to get him the speakership, but not enough of a majority to put the Freedom Caucus in its place.
Yeah.
He basically made them an oversized hemorrhoid, for lack of a better way of saying it. Because if the Freedom Caucus is like 35 to 50 members, and you've got a majority of you've got 240 House Republicans, okay, they're a pain, but they're manageable. But when you got a majority of like 222, a 5-seat majority, and you got 35 or 50 members of the Freedom Caucus, you just created yourself one hell of a headache.
Right? It only took 8. It only took 8.
Well, they didn't need 8. They just needed 5.
You didn't even need that. You need, they just need 5. 3 of y'all could have just gone with McCarthy or abstained or whatever, and he still would have been gone. But yeah, he's in a precarious spot because, or was. I mean, and the new speaker will be in a precarious spot. That's the interesting thing about the Uniparty, right? Is that when the spotlight's on, they will put on the show of partisanship, to their grave until the spotlight moves. That's why they're always desperate to distract you, so that they can do their backdoor deals, and pass whatever with 300, 400 votes in favor. I mean, that stuff happens constantly, but we don't see it because obviously the news doesn't report on it. And it's all to enrich themselves. It's a lot of times it's just little stuff, right? Where it's something that affects an industry, and then they buy You know, obviously they got the word, or they got it from some lobbyist in a particular industry, and it's like they don't even need a direct payment. They just buy stock in that company because they know that that rule benefits that company.
Oh yeah, I mean it just and right now there's a big debate about changing the rules on motion to vacate, and I'm screaming it to the top of my lungs, to anybody who'll listen to my live streams or my videos. Absolutely, under no circumstances should that rule be changed.
Hold on. I would be willing to change it slightly if rep that Democratic rep, or I guess you were
Mocana, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it.
Okay. If we got all 5 of those rules, I mean, honestly, I just care about the first 3. The stuff with the Supreme Court, I don't even care. They're kind of
Right.
worthless on most things anyway. I mean, sometimes they get it right, especially on 2A. They've, for whatever reason, the judicial system just loves 2A, and I'm thankful for it. And they got Roe v. Wade right, but like the first 3 things with banning stock trading, term limits. What was the 3rd thing? What was the other thing? Let me check out.
Hang on.
And just ban lobbyists and PAC donations, and so it's actually 4 things. So he had a 5-point plan, but he actually had 6. He stated 6 points. Okay, apparently California's, or yeah, he's from California schools showing how good they are at math. sorry, Kana. But yeah, so banning stock trading for Congress, banning the revolving door essentially. So if when they leave Congress, going straight into a lobbying job. 3rd point was 12 years on term limits. 4th point was banning big money donations from PACs and lobbyists. So, like, if we got all of that,
Yeah.
I'd take it. I'd give up the whole motion to vacate thing if we actually had, if those bans were. Now, granted, I'm going to caveat that statement. It's got to be enforceable, and if the motion to vacate being as it is the only way to enforce that, then I take that all back. Because Congress can say a whole lot of crap. None of if it's not enforceable, then it doesn't matter. It's a letter to Santa Claus as far as we're concerned.
Here's my worry about giving up the rule under any circumstance.
Mhm.
As it stands right now, for the first time maybe in decades, the members of the floor have power over the leadership. And honestly, if I were the Democrats, of course the Democrats' politics are entirely different than the Republicans, but I understand that. But even if I were a Democrat, I wouldn't dare let that rule be changed as it's currently constituted right now, because as it stands, any one member, Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter. Any one member can bring the motion to vacate, and if you can get a majority to vote for it, they're gone. Now, if they go back to the old way of doing it, where it takes 5 or 6 members together to jointly make the motion, then the leadership can pick them off one by one, and you're not going to have the requisite number of people necessary to even bring the motion.
Mm-hmm.
But as it stands right now, they have absolutely got the leadership by the throat. And to me, it's the ultimate accountability mechanism. If Jim Jordan doesn't do his job, put him out. Until finally the uniparty gets the message, we're done. I mean, there are things that Democrats want to get done from a populist standpoint. I may not agree with them on everything, but I mean, some of the stuff that Mo Khanna is talking about, okay, I'm down with it. But if you don't have leadership at least willing to bring it to a vote and let it see what happens, such that the floor can debate it, amend it, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then okay, those five items might be really good, but if they can't get there because the leadership knows I can screw you guys over before we ever get to the vote, then while they're very nice in theory, they're practically there's never going to happen. So that's why I'm begging anybody who'll listen to me, don't change this rule. You finally have power. You have power over the leadership. If you give this up, you will never be able to do again what was done this week. You'll never be able to do it again.
True.
You'll never even get close. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean that's my whole hesitancy with Gaetz dealing with Kona's. proposal is just that you lose the enforceability. I do believe that that's probably the only way you have enforceability of anything.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
enforceability absolutely matters. If you can't enforce a rule, then then there's no rule.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's why, you know, I mean, the other thing kind of cracked me up about this week. Oh, this is chaos. We're being thrown into chaos.
Oh
What
Lord.
chaos? I mean, even when McCarthy was vacated from the chair, there was a system in place where there's a speaker pro tem who came in, gavelled the House to recess, and we went on about our business. Oh, and that slam of the gavel down, I could watch that all day long. That was glorious. Absolutely glorious.
Yeah. You want to know what chaos is? Look at Middle America's grocery bill.
Yeah.
Look at it on a trend over the past, just few years.
Mhm.
It's been ridiculous. It's absolutely chaotic. You want to know chaos? Let's go to the summer of love 2020. You want to know chaos? Let's look at San Francisco downtown streets now, or LA,
Mhm.
or any other, like some of these other major cities where it's coming out that the police force is severely depleted. They can't handle the workload. Not that they were very good at their job anyway.
Yeah.
God, what was some of the incidents that
No,
where's that big, was it Philadelphia?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Philly and there was like a streamer who got charged because he streamed from the big looting of this store. I don't remember what store it was, but
Walgreens, I think.
probably.
Walgreens or
I know
Lulu's.
Walgreens has been a big target. Walgreens, Target,
Lulu
CVS.
yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about chaos? How about down on the southern border where thousands of people are just streaming across the border every damn day, and the border patrol and immigration customs enforcement, they can't stop it because these people are being encouraged to come here.
Encouraged or being funded. I
Yep.
mean,
Mhm.
they're being lied to and some of them I'm sure are coerced. It's I feel sorry for a lot of those people because I know a lot of those people are just lost. They're just trying to better their own circumstance and they have no idea what they're getting into. They're just going to find themselves homeless on the street of some major American city. Like, it doesn't matter that you're going to put them in a hotel and cover it with taxpayer dollars or on debt or whatever the heck you're doing in New York right now. That's not going to last. That hotel is just going to go to crap. Why? Because when you do these things on taxpayer backs, because like calling it free is a misnomer. Okay, if people haven't figured that out, when you don't pay the person who owns the property to maintain it, it goes to shit. This is why you need to stop demonizing landlords. And I'm not just speaking about this because I am one, because I do own one rental property. All right. Like, what do you think happens if I can't pay my mortgage on that property? That person gets evicted anyway. So stop telling me about empathy. Okay. I'm willing to work with people who have truly come on tough circumstances. But if you're going to try and screw me over, nah, I'm kicking you out. All right. And no, I'm not going to feel sorry about it. If somebody's coming to hard times, I truly feel sorry. But if I can't pay the mortgage, if I can't maintain the property, what have you gained anyway? It's probably better that you move on to something else and find a better deal if you can't afford the house I'm providing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You want to talk about chaos? Let's talk about children who are being brought across the southern border on the hip of someone who's probably not even their parent. We're not even DNA testing these people to find out whether these children belong to these supposed adults. And we're giving $4,500 every month to this person who's crossed the border just because they got a kid on their hip. And we don't even know whether the kid belongs to him or not. Is that not chaos?
It's going to be like, there's going to come a point where the human trafficking is just going to be on everybody's just street corner, even in small town America.
Yeah.
It's so massive how big the problem is there that it's, I mean, I'm sure, well, I have to wonder what it looks like beyond. It would be interesting to see it in person, but at the same time, I'm scared to death to go there in person because I'm sure someone would stab me to go to like downtown San Francisco. I mean,
Yeah.
you can stay strapped, but it's like I don't want to get in that kind of conflict. I don't want to have to hurt somebody.
Yeah. I mean, it just our cities are absolutely turning into dystopian hellholes. We've got a southern border that's being completely overrun by hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people every year, and it's being encouraged by the current administration. We're funding wars all around the world as opposed to trying to bring peace.
Mm-hmm.
We have $33 trillion of debt that there's no way in the infernal regions of hell I'll ever see it paid off. And somehow this is all normal. This is all good thing. This is all whatever. And everyone, and this is a question that I asked this morning on my live stream, talking about the whole Gaetz McCarthy thing. I said, how much is enough? How much is enough before, the American people, through their righteous anger, rise up peacefully through democratic processes and begin to tell the governing class, enough, we're done. I mean, what happened with Kevin McCarthy, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons behind it. I have no doubt in my mind that there was an animosity between Gaetz and McCarthy, and there wasn't political motivations on the part of McCarthy. I mean, Gaetz, I'm not saying any of that. But how much of what happened last week was the American people, through a handful of very brave representatives, rising up and saying, enough, we're done. Either you start doing what we want or we'll keep on doing this for as long as we can. I think that's a reasonable question.
Indeed. Something I want to study more, because you brought up the debt, is who owns all that debt. It's kind of a misnomer. We always talk about China, but China doesn't even own $1 trillion of our debt.
No.
Like,
No,
we have 33 trillion, and China doesn't even own 1 trillion of that. So, I mean, it's such a distraction. Anytime somebody brings that up, it's a distraction. That's just a talking point because I mean, we had Ukraine, Russia, now we got Israel, Palestine. I mean, we've had all the other conflicts that we're involved with. China, Taiwan's on the horizon at some point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And, that's just another talking point for why, like, China's our enemy. China is much less of an enemy than people in our own government.
Oh, yeah. The worst part about it is it's our own government that made China as powerful as they are, going all the way back to the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to know when you want to get a really good idea when the Chinese started getting a toehold on us was under the Clinton administration. When they started, and it's been a long time since I've seen this, but I can remember the stories about, Chinese money coming into the Clinton campaign in 96. And then as time went on, we made them we gave them most favored nation trading status. We brought them into the WTO. We gave them everything. We've made them as powerful as they are. If we actually cut them off, like what Trump was doing slowly but surely under his trade agreements, I'm not saying they would have been brought to their knees in the second term of an administration, but they'd be significantly reduced as far as their capability to cause harm. The Chinese are never going to militarily take over something. They'll just wait until you fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just wait you out, because they'll just let you make 1,000 mistakes on your own. And then when you're no longer strong enough and you're no longer powerful enough to deal with them, they'll just come in and sweep up the remnants. The belt and road theory that they operate under around the world's proof of that. They get their hooks in. You owe them a whole bunch of money. You can't pay on it. Well, guess what? The Chinese take over the facilities. And it just makes you crazy, because it doesn't have to be this way. I think that's one of the frustrations that Americans feel, is that it doesn't have to be this way. Yet we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, never had to be this way.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So I wonder if Cam is still awake or is still with us, because he hasn't chimed in a while. I'm a little worried for him.
It's been a whole 5 minutes.
I know.
Passed out.
I know. He might have finally passed out. So, we're waiting for Splooger Man to see if he's still out there. That's going to be the interesting part. So, Oh gosh. So what else is going on in the world
I'm
that
not sure.
America's
Like,
waiting
it'd be
for
interesting to.
observation?
I wonder what story. Yeah, what's the story we're not hearing about? Israel's the big story, but
That's-
often the big story is to distract you from something else. What are
Look
we
over
missing?
here, but don't pay attention over here. No.
Right?
Yeah. Good question.
I mean, some things that come to mind. I mean, generally the U.S. economy, the world economy, because the world economy uses. Okay, I am not putting that comment up, Cam.
You mean the one that says, "Sorry, I got the key sticky watching the Boobert video again"? That comment we're not going to put up. Or was there some other adolescent rant of his that we're not putting up? I love you, Cam. I'm just giving you crap, man.
Yeah, love you, Cam. But yeah, so I mean, Middle America is struggling worse than it did in the 08 crisis, and yet the news is nowhere near like it was for the 08 crash. To the point where, hold on, how's Nasdaq and the Dow Jones doing? I'm curious.
Gosh, hadn't even looked.
Let's see, are they still? Wow, 33,000 on the Dow Jones. That's insane. There's no way that's sustainable.
True.
Like there comes a point where like I think that thing's going to hit below 20,000 at its depths when it finally starts crashing. I mean, like the exception being if we end up with a hyperinflationary event, and so like the math on that is way different than on a depression or deep recession. Which is my other worry, just because of things like BRICS and crypto. I mean, granted, no, I love crypto, and so like to some degree, I'm kind of all for it. If the dollar goes to crap, the power of the deep state and those in government power and the fascist corporations that they do business with goes way down to some degree. Some of them see the writing on the wall, and they're investing in crypto as it is. You know, BlackRock has significant holdings in Bitcoin because they know that their real estate portfolio is about to suffer. But at the same time, they don't care as much because they borrowed that money on no interest or low interest, you know, because the Federal Reserve's been feeding that money into the finance sector for since 08. Since 08, really.
15 years.
Yeah, they've been doing quantitative easing ever since. It's only been within the past year where they've raised interest rates, and I don't know if that means that they've necessarily stopped quantitative easing, which for those who don't know what that means, that's where they're buying up the bad assets, the assets that are failing to keep the banks afloat. So I guess the answer is no, because they've already bailed out, like, what was it? That it started with an S. There was a bank out in California, SVB. I can't remember what that stood for. There were like 3 other banks that did make the news that they bailed out. How many others have been bailed out that we don't even know about?
Yeah. And here's my question. We were able to do what we did in 2008 because we had the strength of liquidity to be able to make that happen. Not this time. I mean, I'm not saying that the federal government can't come up with a solution, which frankly kind of scares me, because considering that they made the mess, I'm almost scared to know how they're going to try and clean it up. But my point is, we did that back in 08 when we were what, $5-6 trillion on the national debt, and now
I guess that's about right. Yeah, I guess it was about 5 or 6, but I think we ended Bush's term about 8-ish, if I remember correctly.
All right.
8 or 9.
8. All right, let's just say 9 on the high end. Okay, that was then, and we've tacked on 24 trillion more since 2008.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And you know, I have my criticisms of Trump, but the CARES Act, dude, you tacked on about 5 trillion on your own
With a single
Mhm.
stroke of the pen.
Yep. Yep. And he never should have done it. And the thing is, there were people who were telling him a way to do the exact same thing without having. I mean, I'll never forget Art Laffer, who's one of Reagan's old economic guys, said, "Look, you could have done a payroll tax holiday for 12 months and would have done the exact same thing without having to borrow all the money from the Treasury to accomplish the exact same thing." And guys like Mnuchin and Kudlow and others over at Treasury were like, "No, Mr. President, we got to go big on this thing, or else we got to restore confidence to the economy and everything else." And he went along with it.
Yep.
He went along with it. So yeah, but yeah, when this thing hits somewhere in the next 12 to 18 months, this one's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be real bad.
Really bad.
Because remember, every month that it doesn't hit is making it worse for when it does.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a market correction.
Yeah.
That they are refusing to let happen. It
Yeah.
needs to correct itself.
Well, and I remember Mitt Romney back in 2009. You know, I mean, I remember an interview that he did with Glenn Beck, and he said, "Look, there's only one way to resolve this, and this might have been one of the few times in my life I ever agreed with Mitt Romney on anything." But Mitt Romney said it back then. He's like, "We need to let this thing bottom out. You need to rip the Band-Aid off and let the body begin to heal."
Yeah.
He said, "All you're doing is delaying the inevitable with this kind of stuff." And I thought, well, Mitt, for once you actually made sense.
I'll tell you why they don't do it is because, and I don't know if previous crises like the dot-com bubble had this kind of phenomenon, but like in 08, a lot of people offed themselves with how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I think, I understand having that level of fear when you've put all of your eggs in that basket.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't outsmart Goldman Sachs. So you owe them how many tens of billions of dollars because of your derivative contract scam. All right, it came back to catch up with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that, I mean, it is part of their control, and so central banks will never want to let go of it.
No, they won't. They won't. We are being governed by very evil people. I mean, there's a lot of things you can say about the era of Trump, but man, you talk about some eye-opening revelations to a lot of people, and they realize, oh crap, we are truly being governed by some truly evil people.
Well, just Ron Paul said it best on his interview with Timcast. He said, like, the government coup happened November of 1963.
Yep.
Think about that. We know now that the deep state did that. But people are just, we're still trying to reform our government. I mean, I don't want a violent revolution either, but
something's got to give.
Something has got to give. My hope, something that could stave off or at least mitigate violence, at least for a time. I know Cam has a real black pill about this, but is secession, even if it's soft secession. Is just when. And here's an example of how soft secession could work: is just like let's say if Texas and Florida just say, we're not going to deal with you anymore, DC. All of your edicts, your mandates have no power here. And in fact, when you send your federal agents here, we will arrest them, we will deport them, we will send them outside of our borders. We will not deal with it. You will not get a single state or local resource to enforce your tyranny. if enough states do that, there won't be anything that the federal government can do. So like I agree, like if just one state does it and that's it, especially if it's a small state, like if it's just New Hampshire, that's highly risky because someone like the people in Biden's camp, I don't see it beyond them to actually try and invade a small state just to bring them back in line, you know? I mean, that's what happened in the Civil War. Secession happened well before the Civil War actually occurred.
Yeah.
Lincoln invaded the South.
That's true.
Love him or hate him, like depending on your view of history, it's like, yeah, he freed the slaves, but he also did a lot of horrible things. You know, I think he was probably just a normal politician like all the others, is my opinion. The fact that he, like, I don't agree with slavery in the South, but I'm against war and I'm against like invasion. If a state wants to secede, that's their right. The federal government should not try to force themselves on a state. But that's why it takes multiple states doing it, I think. I think one state's got to be brave enough to start the chain, and then if other states follow, and then it becomes an impossibility for the federal government to do anything about it, then they can just rule themselves. And I don't think the blue states don't have the wherewithal, the resources to do anything about it either. They can complain about it, but they need the federal government to I'm gonna get to it. Damn it, Cam, give me a second. All right. All right, I'm not underestimating that at all. There's two sides to this, and I'm gonna get to that. That the so like the blue states, because it would hurt like their own supply chains. They would need like the federal government. But I mean, like this brings up a good point that corporate power could also tip the scales here if they see an opportunity. It really will depend on their own greed and if it's actually profitable for them to help the blue states try to control or overcome the red states' secession.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm thinking about things like massive corporations can also be a problem. Libertarians are not pro-monopolies. What we are saying is that the government is the biggest creator of monopolies, and the biggest panacea for monopolies is market competition. But I am not so blind as to the fact that, okay, we have basically several oligopolies and oligarchies ruling over us who are all in league with each other. Okay, they're all friends, and they've all been to, I'm not going to say, I mean, many of them have probably been to that island in the Caribbean, okay? And that can be a problem. The case that a lot of anti-libertarians will quote is the was it the West Indian Trade Company? They had their own military.
Yep.
That's a scary prospect, honestly, as well. So it's like I'm not blind to that fact that that's also a risk. But I mean, like we have a risk in doing nothing as well. So yeah. I do think states seceding might be our best bet.
Could very well be.
Well, I guess that's what we're talking about. What do you guys think is the better solution? Slow repair, dissolution, or split? And I just made my case for. I still think split is the best case with the least risk. It's not without its risks. But that's kind of where I stand. I think we've been trying slow repair for decades at this point. All right. Trump was the peak of that. Maybe if Trump or RFK Jr. got in and actually did something like just abolish the CIA and the FBI and the ATF, among others, maybe there's a chance that slow repair becomes fast repair. Okay. But outside of that, I don't see reform at a federal level as being viable. I'm going to throw in one other solution, Cam, just for consideration. Nullification, which is kind of the same thing as secession. So like this, when I talk about secession, I'm really talking about state level. But nullification is at local level, which is why as much as I don't want to run for any kind of office, I'm probably going to have to, just because if I believe in nullification, then I really got to follow through on that, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think it's going to happen next year, but I do think by 2026 I probably will be running for some city council. But a lot of it depends on where I end up moving when I get out of this house, because you got to be a resident wherever you run at, right?
True. Absolutely true.
So
Well,
I'm currently not planning to run in 2024, even though my precinct for commissioner is going to be open. I think I'm going to wait till 2026 and perhaps even target a city council based on where I think a more viable win can exist, you know? Because that's the other problem I think I have is where I live right now, the seat looks actually pretty competitive, and not the least of which is because it's on an actual like election year versus like an odd year. Odd year elections are much more winnable because you only need like sometimes just 300 votes will get you in.
Oh yeah.
When you're in an election year like 2024, everybody comes out to vote and they vote down ballot. So that's the other reason why I'm kind of not pro me running next year for anything, because of my location determines that I would have to run for a highly competitive seat, and I'm like, I don't think I stand a chance. I feel like it'd be a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Doing the off-year election's the better way to go. It's lower voter turnout, and you've got a chance. If you can run a really good campaign, you got a really much better chance in an off-year election than you would a presidential election year.
Yeah.
Which that's on a side note, for some, not that I used to. I'll use the term handicapping Senate races, but next year's gonna be fascinating because you got so many Democrat seats that are up. That
Yeah.
man, because remember, some of these cats survived 2018 only because Trump wasn't on the ballot. I mean, in my home state, Joe Manchin is like the wild card about what's going to happen because he's not saying boo one word about what his intentions are. And I remember 2018 when he ran his last Senate election, he won by 3.5 points against a candidate who, nice guy, wasn't any good. The NRSC pumped millions of dollars in advertising into his race, and Manchin barely, and I mean barely, got by this guy. And now, and John Tester out in Montana was the same way. Sherrod Brown in Ohio was the same way. Bob Casey up in Pennsylvania. Sinema out in Arizona. All those seats are now up for grabs.
Now, Arizona and Pennsylvania, I'm going to just kind of throw out there as like, it's probably not going to matter as much because they haven't fixed repaired their election issues.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Despite Kari Lake's, court cases.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be nice to see something come out of that, because then it gives hope that you can actually do something about what they did. Because I'm not even talking about like the potential that perhaps somebody just printed out a bunch of blank ballots and signed their name to it because there was no signature verification. I'm talking about the fact that they just changed the rules and not in accordance with their own state constitution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if they can do that, then they can make the rules whatever they want or wherever they need it to be. So it doesn't even matter. But they had so many things in place happening that it was. I mean, it's tough to keep up with because it's how they control the media, and I mean, like some studies think that alone could have been like a 6% shift. Everybody remembers that Newsweek article where they basically just admitted, yeah, we did this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, how's that not election interference? But yeah, anyway, so it kind of got off on a tangent because I realized I need to explain what nullification is for those who don't know. Again, like if you don't have, or federal government and even state government need local resources to enforce their rules. Look at cannabis legalization. Marijuana. It's still against federal law, but it doesn't get enforced as much anymore because states just ignore it and don't provide the resources for it because they have other things to put their resources toward. and because they just legalized it, and so they just said, no, we're not helping you with this. And the DEA does not have the resources to enforce this nationwide. They tried for so long in California. This is one of the things that California got, like where they were actually kind of based, where they're just kind of standing up for themselves. It's like, we have the right to be high if we want to. Yeah, you do. All right, I fully support that. Even though I don't. Well, I'm not gonna knock people who get high, like, because I get, I don't get high, I get drunk, because I like drinking. To me, I consider it the same thing. That's honestly my biggest argument for why it should be legalized. Is if we legalize alcohol, and as far as negative consequences, which we have laws in place for. I mean, granted, still people do die from drunk driving accidents and stuff like that, but we already have the rules in place. But we don't make it illegal. So there's really no difference there between that and marijuana. Okay. But anyway, I just had the sidebar there because I throw around big words sometimes, and I just want to make sure people understand what that is. Okay. But I want to get back to Cam's question because I'm of a split because it strengthens the parallel economy and has a higher chance of avoiding conflict for a period. And that's where he keeps caveating for a period. That's his black pill, where he's just he's worried that the risk of when the blue states become desperate because everybody's that's productive has moved out, and they need resources. What is that going to look like? My counter argument to that has been, well, they don't have resources, so how are they going? Who's California going to invade when they can't even feed themselves? That's kind of my white pill to his black pill.
Well, I mean, I'm not. If it were an issue that we got a pure split, and by pure I mean you're on one side, I'm on the other. Here's the line, and you guys don't try and cross it because we don't agree on this stuff. That'd be one thing. My only concern is this: we've got forces inside of America right now that are trying to tear down every institution we've got. So the people, like a lot of us, I think we could all safely put ourselves into this camp, would be like, well, just leave us. Look, you don't like America, you go over there. We're going to go over here. We'll have our country. You'll have whatever kind of dystopian hellhole you think is a country, and we'll just go on our merry way with each other. The problem with that is, it's like you said, sooner or later, dystopian hellhole over here realizes, hey, we don't like you anymore. And our responsibility, but you've got your country, we've got ours. There's no reason for you to cross over and make us just as much a dystopian hellhole as you are guys are. That doesn't matter. We don't like you. We don't like what you stand for. We don't like what you believe in. We didn't like it when we were all one country. What makes you think we're going to be better off now that we're two? That's where I think, the argument about a split kind of falls apart. I'm not saying that slow repair isn't a pain in the ass. It is. There are moments that I bang my head into the wall, but I don't know that there's any better option right now. I mean, yeah, in the purest, perfect world, a split would be the ideal way to solve a situation. I just don't know that it works because, like I said, the forces that are already trying to tear us apart would come over to the new country that we would create and try to do the exact same thing all over again, just because they don't like our values, they don't like our beliefs, they don't like anything about us. So why should I think that the border of the new country keeps me any safer in my new country than it did in my old one?
That's why when I say split, I'm talking about individual states. I don't think it should be 2-way. I think it should be 50 ways.
Confederation.
The competition again, because it's market competition. Yeah. It's competition for getting people to live where you are. That is the best antidote or preventative for if you have 50 different governments, you're just less likely to start trying to invade because now you try to fight one, but then you sorry, I gotta respond. You put that like an hour and a half ago, but I never responded in the private chat. The answer is yes, Cam. Of course I can. But I'll end it when I'm ready, okay?
Yeah, go on it. And then you can't do anything about it. You're like, I'll show you what I can do.
But yeah, like there's just so much more risk there when you have 48 other entities involved who may have some sort of an economic entanglement with the state that you have a beef with. Like if California has a beef with let's say South Dakota or Idaho, and it's just like and then Montana's like, well, that's where we get our potatoes from. You know, it's like all of a sudden your risk in taking it to a bad level is just so much higher, and you're more apt for a peaceful resolution. But like if two-way split, I agree with you, because then there's still too much centralized power even in two countries, and you're still just likely to, it's exactly what you said. There's a high likelihood that you're to end up with basically what we have now, right? The mafia that went over to that country and decided it didn't work starts infiltrating our government. And maybe it's not our generation, but if I had kids, probably their kids would be dealing with the same sort of crap. You know, so it doesn't. So for a period, like Cam said, perhaps you do get the resolution that you want. But I think if you want to greater your chance or lengthen the period of time that you have peace, you need more division, more split. Yeah, we have 50 sets of good borders. Let's enforce all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the next few years are going to be fascinating to watch what happens in this country. Fascinating and frightening all at the same time.
Yes.
You
So I'm
know.
still waiting for the reveal of the lizard people demons.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
the older I'm getting, the more I'm convinced the four scariest words in the English language are Alex Jones was right. Think about it, folks.
We need to go digging through his stuff to find out what stuff hasn't come true yet.
Have you
That
seen
and The Simpsons. The Simpsons have also done way too well at predicting what's going to happen.
Well, you realize that they based the character Mr. Burns on Joe Biden, right?
Really?
I mean, think about it. Put a split screen in your mind. Here's Joe Biden on one side. Here's Mr. Burns on the other. Are they not scarily similar? I'm just kidding about that. But I mean, personally, I think Walter, the Jeff Dunham's ventriloquist dummy, is a better representation of Joe Biden than Mr. Burns is.
He does. Yeah, he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Biden's trying to be like Walter or Walter's trying to be like Biden. I don't know, but those two, man, they really look alike.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just saying. Absolutely amazing.
All right. Well, been going for almost 3 hours. Or at least I have. So. But it's been good. It's been so good.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, man.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's been fun. So I'll start with you this way. Okay. Front porch. Where can people find you?
Okay.
Give your plug.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate being on tonight. You can find me on Rumble. You can find me on YouTube. I have channels on both places under the Front Porch Conservative. You can find me on Twitter at the Front Porch C1. I'm also on Getter. I'm also on Truth Social, and I post videos on a regular basis. I do live streams. I've got an interview coming up this week with Culture Casino, where we're going to be talking about the end of the Writers Guild strike, and also looking ahead about what it means for Hollywood and pop culture in general. So that'll be Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and I've got some other people lined up in the near future. So come check out my channel. If you're not a member, please subscribe. Watch my videos, watch my live streams. I do a live stream on Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. called Front Porch Brunch, where we do a review of items in the news, and that's always a fairly. I've got a troll now. I've got a troll.
All right.
Larry the Liberal, as I've taken to calling him.
Nice.
So yeah, Larry stopped by this morning, and he made some comment that I've got to go back and look at, because I thought, if I weren't a gracious, loving host, I'd probably get upset about this right now, but I just let it go right over. I'm like, okay, bless his heart. The drugs aren't working, so he needs to find ways to, get out his, whatever. But yeah, stop by on Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We're on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter. So please, glad to be here. It's always fun to hang out with the Clout Goblins, and that's where you can find me.
All right, awesome. Follow me, Crash Mono JR, on Twitter and on Kick. I know I keep making a promise to stream on Kick. It will happen. I did break out OBS, open it up, and start making updates to it. I just got to, I'll get it ready. I just got to focus some time on it. And once I get it started, I'm sure it'll be a regular thing. But I've been wanting to get back into some gaming streams. It's been a while. Follow Flagrant Triggers, the actual owner of this channel. Flagrant Triggers everywhere except for Twitter. It's just Flagrant Trigger with a hard R. Not Flagrant Trigger. All right, it's that's the parody account that we haven't created yet.
a really hard R. That's all we're saying. So
yeah.
Hey, can we put that one link up that he just threw in at the bottom of the chat?
Oh yeah, I actually threw that in.
Okay.
Yeah,
My
when
apologies.
I do it from StreamYards, it does it from his. Like I said, because he's the owner of this channel, so it does it. It gives him credit for it. But yeah, so yeah, go to this link. Support our campaign if you're interested. At certain levels, I don't remember where it starts, if it was 50 or 100, but yeah, of support, we're doing a relaunch of the company, our merchandise company called Flagrant Triggers LLC. They're permanent lifetime discounts. The more you support, the steeper the discount. And like I said, it's lifetime. It's never coming back. We're never going to do that again. So don't miss out on that. And anyway, be kind, love God, love your neighbor. Go repent if you need to. I probably need to repent because I've probably expressed too much wrath tonight, but that's okay.
and don't do things in front of women's windows like some others on this channel talk about. Okay, we don't need to visit you in jail.
That's right. I'm not bailing you out. I'm not that rich. All right. So.
We don't need angry fathers chasing you with shotguns or something. Okay.
All right. Be good to each other. Peace out, everybody.